warning. It's in effect until 1 p.m. for damaging thunderstorm wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. The rotating portion of this storm, though, it is near Glen Ellen, moving toward the south and southeast. So you can see our computer here has a lock on this low-level circulation moving toward Lombard, Oak Brook Terrace, and Downers Grove. The tornado warning itself does include this red polygon, as we call it, this funny shape of DuPage County, not Cook County, no other areas. I know we've had some reports from the north and northwest suburbs of tornado sirens going off. I will clarify that there is no tornado warning in that area. That might be for the 70-mile-per-hour severe thunderstorm wind gusts that activated those up there. Here's the potential tornado, though. It's on the northwest side of Wheaton, and if we zoom in here, you can see our computer has what we call a low-level lock on this storm. That means it's detected low-level winds that are rotating. It's detected what could be a potential tornado. Another thing to look at here in a possible tornado is what we call the BTI. This is the Barron Tornado Index, Barron being our radar provider here. 7.7, that's a scale from 0 to 10, and closer to 10 you get, the more likely it is that a tornado is not only formed, but likely on the ground. I'll tell you, I've seen tornadoes on the ground in our area at a BTI of 4.5. We've got almost double that. So this is a really serious storm that we need to act seriously and track it accordingly. So speaking of which, let's move over to the velocity mode of the radar. If we have a tornado on the ground, this would be where it is, as I was just describing to you here between Wheaton and Lombard. I know the storm direction there is moving toward the east, but really the overall motion is toward the south and southeast, so it's a little bit misleading. If we zoom in here, this is where the potential tornado is, right over Glen Ellen, on the east side of Wheaton, west side of Lombard, right where green meets red. We're not only seeing the rotation there on the storm relative velocity, but look at this. Even if you don't have a tornado at your house in Glen Ellen, we have damaging thunderstorm wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. On the other side of that tornadic circulation, we have 11-mile-per-hour winds the other way. So this is about 81 miles per hour right now of what we call gate-to-gate shear or potential rotational velocity. Kylie, what's the movement on this storm? And then
20 miles per hour.
20 miles per hour toward the south and southeast, I assume?
Yeah, I was just putting a storm track on it. So
wonderful.
If we want to go to my computer screen really quickly and we can put that storm track. So Downers Grove is going to be impacting you at around 11:58, Lombard at 12:07, York at 12:11, Elmhurst at 12:19. Lyons, you're going to need to be in your safe place. 12:27 is your time. Midway, 12:37, and then Logan Square closer to about 1 o'clock. But again, this tornado warning does go until 12:45, so we still have a ways to go with this, David.
Okay, great. Yeah, and if our crews listening in the newsroom have anyone available in the western suburbs, curious what we're seeing there on the ground. Got a new scan of the radar here in the tornado warned area. Notice this low-level lock might be a little slow to catch up, but what I'm watching right here is between Wheaton and Downers Grove. If we actually animate this for about 15 minutes, you could see how this rotation has evolved a little bit, and notice it was right there, then it jumped to the east, and then it kind of weakened and jumped back to the west. So right there, last radar scan, this is probably most likely where we did have a tornado touchdown, at least briefly, right over Glen Ellen. What we have now is a weaker, broader rotation moving toward the south and southeast between Wheaton and Downers Grove. So if you're watching from the city of Chicago, you might think, do I need to take my tornado precautions right now? The answer is no, because zooming out here, you can see we do have this yellow area. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that includes Chicago. 70-mile-per-hour straight line winds. That's almost hurricane force. Those are possible. Flash flooding is a big concern because look at these storms moving our way, but also not really clearing out of these areas behind it. We're stuck up on a boundary here. So as the rain expands eastward, this is a broader shield of rain that's going to enhance a flash flood threat over Chicago. But bottom line, we don't have any reason to take your immediate tornado precautions in the city of Chicago nor up toward Lake County. We'll get back to that tornado warning in just a minute. I want to look at our friends here in Lake County, north of Chicago, because we were watching a potentially tornadic storm in Wisconsin. It looks like that rotation has weakened as the storm moved your way. Really heavy downpours up near Antioch and Lindenhurst, but no reason to take your tornado precautions either. If you're just joining us, we are on the air here covering your programming because we have dangerous severe storms capable of producing tornadoes moving through Chicago at this hour. Not a big geographic footprint at all. Most counties completely unaffected by these storms right now, but a big population footprint. We have 9 or 10 million people in this area under the severe thunderstorm warning. Not quite that many in the tornado warning, but if you live on the west side of Chicago, especially in DuPage County, this pertains to you. live picture coming from Glen Ellen. Thank you, Tracy. We have a crew out there, I assume, from a Ring doorbell. This is a live picture coming from a Ring doorbell. Wonderful live view here from Glen Ellen. Now, the storm the worst part of the storm has likely cleared out of Glen Ellen at this hour, but this is a great perspective because you can see two things. One, the wind has died down in Glen Ellen. Two, I don't see any damage, at least at this home. So keep me posted, control room, on that live view. Thank you so much for that Ring doorbell cam, again, from Glen Ellen, an area that was just under an immediate tornado threat, likely no longer, though, as the rotating part of this storm has now cleared out. There's Glen Ellen right now, getting some heavy rain, some gusty winds, but you can see this rotating hook on the storm. I'll freeze frame the radar now. South of your area. So now, tornado precautions especially important in places like Lisle and Downers Grove. Let's check on the velocity, see what this storm is doing. Here's the rotating part of it. If you live in Lisle or Downers Grove or anywhere south and southeastward toward Woodridge and Darien, we need to take our tornado precautions right now as this moves toward the south and southeast at about 20 miles per hour. Here is the track of this potential tornado. Our computer only highlighting Orland Park, but of course we do have some other communities that will be impacted in that area. If you need a reminder on tornado precautions, here they are. Let's pretend this is your home, your apartment, your business. Here's the room that we would want to be in this example. Interior most room, lowest level, underground, basement is ideal. If you don't have that option, just go to the lowest level away from windows. The idea here is to put as many walls of protection between you and that potential tornado as possible. Here we are tracking again a tornado warning in DuPage County as severe thunderstorms move into Chicagoland. Let's go over to meteorologist Kylie Miller in the Weather Center. Kylie, these storms are packing a punch, and we saw them rotating, also producing some big hail.
Yeah, so there's really two areas that we're keeping a close eye on where that rotation is happening. Yes, in DuPage County, but just on the other side of the state line into Wisconsin, it's just skimming over into Lake County. So yes, we do have that rotation, but on top of all of this, we're talking about heavy rainfall, cloud and ground lightning, and quite a bit of hail. We've been seeing reports of hailstones up to about 2 inches in diameter recorded from the National Weather Service. So you can see right here, quarter to golf ball size hail, especially where we do have that hail core, places including Downers Grove to the north of that into York, closing in on O'Hare Airport. I'm sure there's still that ground delay from that thunderstorm that continues to roll through. So we're dealing with heavy amounts of rainfall, and our weather models have not been doing that great of a job showcasing all of the rain, all of the storms that are headed our way, but they're going through environments. Our current environment is so unstable that we're going to be monitoring this here very closely. So as we look at the hour-by-hour futurecast, this is really just the first little round of rain and storms that we're going to be getting. We're going to be seeing more rain showers and thunderstorms blossoming through the region as we get going through the later half of the afternoon into the evening hours, along with that cold front. So David, I'm going to keep an eye on that, and you're looking at that rotation again in DuPage County.
Yeah, Kylie, that's an important reminder. This is kind of just the appetizer, if you will, right? This is just a couple isolated storms that have formed ahead of what could be the main event between 3 and 8 p.m. tonight. That potential main event would be a damaging complex of storms that is developing near Green Bay in northern and eastern Wisconsin. That one is still hours away from our area. 3 to 8 p.m. would be the time that it could impact us if it makes it here. In the meantime, we are watching this tornado warning. Well, hold on, let me look up here in Lake County because we've got another low-level lock. We may have another tornado warning issued here soon in Lake County. In the north suburbs. Let's check in on the animation of this and see if the rotation is tightening up a little bit. This was the previously tornado-warned storm in southern Wisconsin near Kenosha. This storm has now moved into Lake County, and we were telling you we were watching the rotation weaken. Now, what I'm seeing more so than a strong tornado signature. I know we've got a low-level lock here, so there is certainly some rotation. But what I'm seeing more than that is a big gust of damaging thunderstorm winds plowing north to south through Lake County. If you're in this area, we need to prepare in Grays Lake, Park City. These are 50-mile-per-hour winds easily. Also moving through Waukegan. We actually just got a confirmed report from the ground in Waukegan of a 48-knot wind gust, which is about 53 miles per hour. So these are strong north to south winds that are blowing down southward through Lake County. These are moving towards Chicago eventually. The more important, the more pressing concern here is in DuPage County. This is where we now have a new low-level lock on our radar. This is part of a big complex of really heavy rain. Flash flood warnings are certainly coming soon as well, if we don't already have those. Looks like, yeah, now we have one. There you go.
Until 4 p.m.
Cook County and DuPage, Kylie was telling me, flash flood warning until 4 p.m. So basement flooding, roadway and viaduct flooding imminent or occurring. Please stay off the roads. Never drive through water. If you do have water in your basement and you're in a dangerous situation, we need you to call 911 and get your family to a safe spot. This is the flood concern that I was looking at, which let's just touch on real quickly before we get back to the tornado. The 1 hour rainfall in Chicago, look at this. This is pretty significant. Are you kidding me? 6-inch rainfall picked up by our radar. Let's double check this. Between, wow, Carroll Stream to Wooddale and Addison. This is a dual polarization radar estimate, which is actually quite accurate to ground truth or radar rain gauge observations, rather, saying it has picked up 4 to 5 inches of rain in an hour. That is an unbelievable tropical rain rate that will trigger dangerous flooding and likely is right now between Carroll Stream and Addison. These are hourly rainfall rates that you usually do not see in this part of the country. So the flood threat, something that we're watching here, ramping up in DuPage and northwest Cook County. This flood threat will be moving into the city of Chicago. Flash flood warning in effect for the city, as Kylie mentioned, for the next several hours. But if we go back to the velocity, let's go back to the tornado warning. I don't want to lose sight of you guys. We've lost the low-level lock, so we may have a little weakening here of the rotation. But if we do have a tornado with this, it's over Downers Grove, just west of Westmont. So as we animate this here over the last 15 minutes, you can see that the potential tornado has moved from Glen Ellen, where you guys are now safe. You've been trimmed out of the tornado warning. So Carroll Stream, Glen Ellen, thanks for taking your tornado precautions seriously. You can come out now of the basement, and we'll keep you posted if you need to take your shelter again. But we still need to be in our tornado shelters from Woodridge to Downers Grove, Willowbrook, pardon me, and Burr Ridge. This tornadic circulation is moving toward the southeast right here over Downers Grove into Westmont. National Weather Service off screen here saying tornado threat increasing now for Downers Grove. The storm appears to be wrapping up again. And let's see if we can double check back in on our radar software here and see what the tornado index is now. I was telling you this a moment ago. There's a really cool 0 to 10 index that our computers can give us on how likely it is that there's a tornado warning, a tornado on the ground with these storms. And we don't have a skit right over that location, but here's a pretty close one. This is, let's clear that off here. This storm is no doubt rotating over Downers Grove, which is why we have the tornado warning in effect until 12:45. But if we look a little bit closer here, this is worth seeing, I promise. We can check in on the tornado threat of this actual storm right there over Wheaton. So let's track this out, see what it is. 7.5. So 0 to 10. Our computers are saying there's a 7.5, a high likelihood of a tornado with this storm. So even though we don't have the classic signature necessarily of a tornado on the ground here on the radar or of the velocity, this is a storm that we really, really need to take very seriously, and it's moving over Downers Grove right now. Kylie off screen here, it looks like we're getting multiple reports of egg-sized 2-inch hail and 70 miles per hour winds. National Weather Service also talking about a developing tornado now over Downers Grove, right?
Yep, central portions of Downers Grove. The movement is moving south, southeast, still so slowly at 20 miles per hour. So if we can pop on Weather 2 and get that latest storm track. So Downers Grove, it is impacting you right now. Lyons 1239, for Stickney 1244, Midway 1251. So I'm sure there's no flights coming in, coming out of Midway Airport as we talk about that. 1257 from Marquette Park, Bridgeport coming out at 106 is when that rotation is going to be impacting you. And it looks like the National Weather Service actually just issued a new tornado warning for that area that we were just mentioning. This is including places like Frankfort, Orland Park. This now is for sections of Cook County as well as Will County, still including DuPage County. Again, this is radar indicated with a damage possible tag. So let's see what the storm movement is, because I'm sure this one is again moving very slow. These have been slow moving storms at about 20 to 30 miles per hour. So this one is moving southeast, still at 30 miles per hour, but damage is going to be likely with these storms storms that are rolling through, and we're going to have to watch out for, yes, that flash flooding potential, a lot of that heavy rain, cloud ground lightning. Get to your safe place immediately, especially if you're in Orland Park, Frankfort, all the way back into Downers Grove, because, David, this is evolving very quickly.
Yeah, and I'm getting really concerned about the flood threat. I was just showing you in the last hour, we have radar indications, which are always very accurate, near Addison of 5 inches of rain in 1 hour. I've never seen that observed in Chicago, and this is a special map that our computers can produce called the flash flood risk. This is not the radar. This is actually taking into account local ground cover, hydrology, how much it's raining now, what should happen over the next couple of hours, and it is also pinpointing something that I have not seen before, a high to very high risk of flash flooding from the city of Chicago, especially down toward the southwest suburbs. I told you we've already likely got dangerous flooding going on in parts of northern DuPage County, northwest Cook County, but this map is giving us high confidence that all of these areas in the red and orange likely to see dangerous flooding through the rest of the day. So something to keep in mind if you have some errands that you were thinking about doing today, maybe they could wait, or if you were thinking about taking the kids somewhere today, but maybe you could do it tomorrow, let's please hold off until tomorrow. The weather the rest of the week will be much quieter. Today is just not a good day to be out and about for several reasons, the tornado threat and also the flood threat. So look at this little notch right here over Downers Grove. You don't like to see that. What we have right here is radar indications of rotation. You can see green meeting red right there. National Weather Service reiterating right now, developing tornado located just south of downtown Downers Grove, moving to the southeast at 30 miles per hour, approaching Darien and Westmont shortly. So if we switch, yeah, right there. Let's go in real tight on that actually. Here we are on the there's Downers Grove right there. The circulation actually passing Downers Grove now right between Woodridge and Darien. So if you are in Woodridge or Darien, it's really crucial that you take your tornado precautions right now. Basement if you can, away from outside walls and windows. Bottom floor of your business, apartment building, that's fine as well. Just get in an interior-most room with several walls between you and the outside if that's possible. As National Weather Service said, this is moving southeastward now at 30 miles per hour. So if we track out this potential tornado moving southeastward at 30, let's get that right. There it is. So in the path, including but not limited to Orland Park at 1234, Tinley Park at 1243. But of course, there will be other areas impacted by this, including Homer Glen. My friends down in Homer Glen, if you guys are watching right now, we have a tornado warning in effect for you. The storm is not on your doorstep yet, but it will be very soon. And that's why we need you to take your tornado precautions right now. Go to the interior-most room of your house, away from outside walls and windows. Basement, if you got one. Homer Glen, places around you as well. You have time if you need to go to your neighbor's house to get to the basement. If you know anybody in a car, call them right now. Tell them to pull over, get to sturdy shelter. You still have a few minutes until that storm hits you. For the rest of us, if you are just joining us, we have a tornado warning in effect for the southwest suburbs of Chicago, not for the city itself. But as you watch these storms moving, we have a couple things going on. A potential tornado exiting Downers Grove, moving over Darien, moving toward the southeast toward Lockport and Homer Glen. We also have an increasing flash flood scenario setting up from Lake County into Cook County in the city of Chicago. These storms are producing rainfall of 4 to 5 inches in 1 hour. And we have a lot more coming. If you expand the way out, notice more storms near Milwaukee. Here's another complex near Green Bay. This could be a derecho, a long duration, 250-mile plus swath of wind damage that's developed now, and it's racing southward. And look, we were talking about maybe these storms 3 to 8 p.m. This is when that would hit. Miss us to the east in Chicago. I don't think that's likely anymore because look at the trajectory coming right south-southeastward directly toward Lake County and Cook County. That's a concern that we'll have to deal with between mainly 3 and 8 p.m. But the more imminent concern, the more pressing concern that we have today is these storms right here. If we have any other elements, just get in my ear, guys. Oak Brook. Let's go to Elk Grove. We have hail video coming in. Thanks, Nancy. Our crews are spread out, giving you the best vantage point of these storms moving through. You can hear some hail. You can see some hail. This was reported to us earlier along with the heavy rain. These storms producing flash flood-inducing rain, dangerous hail up to golf ball size or larger. We've actually had numerous reports of egg-size hail, 2 inches across, like the eggs in your fridge. So lots of reason to not be on the roads, not be out and about. And also, if you have the option, park your car under a safe shelter. That can, save you a call to the insurance company in the morning, which nobody wants to deal with. So here's the heavy rain moving into Chicago. Flash flood warning for the city. No tornado threat imminent here. But here is where the tornado threat is quite large. From Darien down to Orland Park, Tinley Park, and Frankfort. Lockport, you guys are kind of on the west side of this, but Homer Glen, you guys are right in the path of this potential tornado. If we switch over back to the wind mode of the radar, this is not necessarily giving a classic presentation of a strong tornado on the ground right now, but if we freeze it right there, you can see some damaging thunderstorm winds up to 70 miles per hour, and the rotation. If we do have a tornado, this is where green meets red, right here between Woodridge and Darien. This is where there is some rotational velocity. Let me just check these out, and then Kylie, I'll give it back to you. There is some rotational velocity in this area. I'd estimate up to 70, 80 mile per hour winds. So this is a potential tornado that could be on the ground in these areas. Kylie, really dangerous setup. And as I mentioned, we still have hours of this going forward with more storms coming from the north.
Oh, I know. We're going to be timing that out here momentarily. But I do want to talk about how conducive our environment currently is. So if we can take Max 1, Nancy, Max 2 seems to have froze. There we go. I want to talk about how warm it is. I mean, look at our temperatures. We're in the 80s, 90 degree right now for Ottawa. Across the areas seeing that heavy rainfall, our temperatures are cooling very drastically in the 70s, but it is feeling though like we are well into those triple digits, because notice our dew points. We're in the 70s as well as those low 80s. So we are talking about this just very unstable environment. So David, any of these storms that do pop up have the potential to go strong to severe, which we've already been seeing, and that's just going to be in the forecast as we look ahead to the rest of this afternoon, even into the evening hours. So here's a look at that hour-by-hour futurecast that we promised to show everyone, and then David, I'm going to send it back to you.
Sure thing.
So here's a look at that futurecast radar as it does load and pop on. So we're going to be in for this warm front, really just hugging the coast of Lake Michigan. But as we go through the afternoon, the evening hours, more rain showers, thunderstorms will bubble up, and then we're going to be watching out for that cold front to pass through, and that cold front has the potential to go severe once again.
Yep.
And that's what you were mentioning with that derecho that will be possible.
Yeah, and let's get back to my radar if we could, because I'm still watching this tornado warning in the southwest suburbs, and now we have some indications from the Weather Service of what was a potential debris signature with this storm. So a debris signature is basically the radar picking up on hitting tornadic debris that's been lofted. What I don't see right now is a strong signature of that near Burr Ridge or Lamont. But if we loop this, I think I can do it on a short loop. Yeah, right here. So this is likely what the Weather Service was seeing right there near Downers Grove. Well, let's watch it again. Right there. You see not the red and purple, but the more right, or I should say the color is more leftward on the legend. Right there, that's a drop in the correlation coefficient, which means that the radar is not just seeing hailstones or raindrops, which are all relatively the same, but it could be spotting a piece of a car or a piece of a house or dirt that's been flown in the air from this tornado. So when we see that can be a radar confirmed tornado. We've lost a little bit of that right now, but this is something that we got to keep an eye on too, because now we have a low level lock forming again. This unusual mode of the radar, I know, is showing a couple drops in the correlation coefficient right here and right here. So south side of Darien, this could be tornadic debris just south of I-55 over 91st Street near Kingery Highway. We have another drop in the correlation coefficient. Hard to tell you, if we have two tornadic circulations or two on the ground, one of these on the ground, we just don't know. But right over Kearney Road, let's zoom in a little further. St. Patrick Road, Bluff Road, Rock Road, if these sound familiar to you, again on the south side of Darien, north side of Lamont, this is a potential tornado on the ground right now. So we need you in your tornado safe place immediately. This is all moving toward the south and southeast. So if I switch the radar back to a more typical presentation that you're used to seeing, it's not raining in Orland Park or Homer Glen or Mokina, but this storm is moving south and southeastward at 30 miles per hour. So all of these areas in the red box where it's not yet, it will be on your doorstep within the next hour. So tornado precautions immediately in this tornado warning, which again is on the southwest side of Chicago, not including the city, not including Lake County either. But another threat from this storm is the hail size. And this would not be on the front end of this storm. Let's fix my click here. This would not be on the front end where the tornado is. This would be on the back end of it. So you can see the big hail. First you get hit by the potential tornado, then you get this massive hail. And we are still seeing some really concerning stuff here. The National Weather Service warnings, I believe, Kylie, are only up to egg size right now?
So far we've seen...
Double check me if that's true.
I've seen 2 inches.
Yeah, so egg size.
Yep, 2 inches, 70 miles per hour.
Right, National Weather Service saying 70-mile-per-hour winds, potential tornado, egg size hail. But our radar, which is usually pretty good, has been consistently indicating the potential, at least, of bigger hail than that. Egg size is only slightly larger than golf ball, 1.75 inch, 2 inches egg size. 2.5 is tennis ball, 2.75 is baseball, and that's what our radar is detecting in a pretty big swath here. Areas might be getting pelted right now from Naperville down to Woodridge. We have another area of large hail on the northeast side of this tornadic circulation, Hodgkins, Countryside, LaGrange, Summit, Willowbrook. There will be insurance adjusters on your doorstep in the morning because there will be some roofs damaged. There will be some car windshields which could be seriously damaged. If we have baseball-sized hail or even larger, that could punch through a car windshield or a back window on your car. So extra reason, of course, to stay indoors, keep your family inside. But this is something that might be a pretty destructive storm as it rolls through. Let's get back to the radar real quick because we're watching that potential tornado moving south of Darien, but we're also watching an increasing flash flood risk over Chicago. Let's get to the rainfall now. This is how much rain has fallen in the past hour. And really, well, let's go to 3 hours here because the storm has been here for a minute now. In Chicago, we still haven't had that much. You can see the scale with the colors on the map. But if we zoom into Addison, again, these are radar estimates, but they're usually very, very accurate. We have radar estimates of... Oh, now, okay, well, we're just down to 2 to 3 inches. So that's interesting. We're seeing a little disparity between the 3-hour rain estimates and the 1-hour rain estimates. But either way, these storms are producing really, really heavy rain in a short period of time. And in an urban area, as this map shows, that can produce flooding very, very easily and very quickly. That's why we have this map, which is called the flash flood risk, showing really concerning stuff from Chicago down to the southwest suburbs. Kylie Miller. Oh, and by the way, O'Hare and Midway both ground stop. Kylie, over to you.
Yeah, we're also getting reports of a lot of power lines that are down, especially across DuPage County. We're also getting reports of power loss from the Lombard area. So we're still seeing a lot of activity happening with this complex of storms that's continuing to slowly roll through. This is the latest time frame from that tornado warning. So again, everyone needs to be in their safe place. The lowest level of an interior room away from windows and doors is always a great idea to have shoes on just in case there's any debris, broken glass, so you can be safe. So places including Orland at 1244, Frankfort at 1254, Moni at 109, Piatone at 117. So this is moving to the southeast at 30 miles per hour. And I do want to show everybody putting these lightning strikes on. Just look at how impressive this is. All of that lightning. So you are going to be seeing a lot of flashes. You're going to be hearing those thunders roaring across your area from this complex that's continuing to move on through. So we are dealing with not only just the heavy rain and the twisting, the tornado aspect with this, but a lot of hail has been getting reported with this as well. So right now we're seeing anywhere from quarter to even golf ball size hailstones that have fallen across southern portions of DuPage County, impacting Downers Grove, Bolingbrook, even into LaGrange area. If you have pictures that you are wanting to show, to share with us and you want to show us, send them, of course, safely to CBS News Chicago, and we will try to get those inputted on air as well as let the National Weather Service see what we are seeing as well.
Thanks, Kylie. New video of some students sheltering from Elmhurst University. Look at this. This is coming into our newsroom just moments ago. You can see they're staying on top of the tornado warning there on the screen. Students sheltering in the basement of Elmhurst University. Good to see a lot of folks there crowding into a room, heeding the tornado warnings, taking this situation seriously. You know, even if it's inconvenient, even if it slows down your day, it's really important to take tornado precautions like that. So you love to see people taking those as they should at this hour. On the southwest side of Chicago, this is the potential tornado that we're watching. Not only the hail, which is likely going to be destructive from Wheaton and Downers Grove up to Naperville, and on the northeast side of this toward Oak Lawn as well, but the potential tornado in this area also. We have still kind of this hook on this storm. And when you see this, that means there's unobstructed, warm, moist air coming into the storm, and then it's wrapping up right here and kind of throwing the rain and hail core on the northwest side of it. So you have a ton of heavy rain and hail shown by these brighter colors on the radar, the reflectivity as we say. But then right here, where kind of the rain hail area meets the dry area, this is where the inflow notch is, as we call it. So if we switch over to the storm relative winds, look at this. This is really concerning here over Burr Ridge on the southeast side of Darien. These are storm relative winds, so what I'd be looking for a strong tornado is a big red area on the southeast side. Don't have that, but we still do have a low-level lock, so there's a lot of rotation on this storm. This radar that we have is especially good at pinpointing tornadoes, so if we do have one, it's right here on the south side of Burr Ridge, exiting Darien. Let's stay in your tornado safe place, both of those areas for now. I'll let you know when you can get out as this moves away. But if we switch this over to actually just pure base velocity, there's a little red stripe, there's some blue. Look at how strong these winds are on the southwest side of Burr Ridge. These, even if they're not a tornado, which they might be, but even if they're not, these are really destructive thunderstorm winds, 74 miles an hour. That's a Category 1 hurricane, 77 miles per hour. And these are very close to the radar site in Romeoville. So what you're seeing here is not above ground level. There's a new scan making my clicks obsolete. What you're seeing here is not up in the clouds. Bottom line is it's down at ground level. It's hitting people's houses. It's impacting people's roadways. There's a radar site in Lockport and Romeoville. This is just miles away from there. So we're getting a really clear and a really good look into what is likely a damaging and destructive storm. Let's check in on this radar, which can, again, pinpoint certain threats of a storm specifically well. Near Willowbrook, it's highlighting a certain intense part of the storm approaching Oak Lawn at 12:50. That is, what, a good 23 minutes from now. Marquette Park by 12:55. But it's moving to the east-southeast 24. Look at the BTI. I told you that's a scale from 0 to 10 of how likely a tornado is. 7.9 means there is probably a tornado on the ground right now. This radar has a really good record with us of pinpointing threats like that, and that's what we've got with it right now. Again, it's pinpointing it over Willowbrook, but if there is a tornado warning, if there is a tornado rather, it's right here northeast of Lamont. So Kylie was tracking this out for you, and look, we just got a new update from the Weather Service. I promised you in Darien I'd tell you when you're safe, and now it looks like, well, I don't want to make any promises I can't keep. I thought you were just trimmed out of the tornado warning. It looks like you are still, for now, in the tornado warning, but we'll let you know when it is safe to come back out. Nevertheless, the most damaging, most likely part of the storm to have a tornado on it is right here south of Burr Ridge and moving toward the south and southeast farther away from you. So we're going to keep an eye on you guys. I also want to keep an eye in Chicago because we have really heavy rain falling. We have a flood threat that is ramping up right now. Here we are on the Dan Ryan in the city, not included in this tornado warning, so we don't need to be sheltering. But if we look out toward Midway, I suspect the visibility is zilch. So this is having a huge impact on flights. I mentioned a moment ago, Midway, O'Hare, both under ground stops. So if you're heading out that way, double check the flight, either if you're departing or picking up a family or friend out that way. Take you out to Oak Brook, and this is kind of just ahead of that worst part of the storm. I think we can see, look at that. I think those are some lightning flashes that you can actually see lighting up the frame. Nevertheless, a really impressive storm moving through on the southwest side of Chicago especially. So if you're just joining us, let me give you the broad view, get you oriented, and then we'll go back in on that tornado warning with Kylie. This is a damaging complex of storms, which is not affecting a lot of our area. Morris, Wauponsee, up to Kendall County, you guys are completely dry. Probably stay that way, at least from this first complex. Later this afternoon, it might be a different story. But this area of thunderstorms has been producing flash flooding from Cook to DuPage counties. It's been producing a history of potential tornadoes and also a history of really destructive hail. We have multiple reports from the Weather Service of egg-size hail, 2 inches across. That by itself will damage many shingles on your roof. It could damage your windows. It will dent your car. We've also had some indications, though, of much bigger hail than that might be softball size at times. Not confirmed, but our radar is picking up on some really, really destructive stuff with this. Let's go back on the hail size here, and then we'll get back to the tornado. Look at the biggest hail right now. falling from Westmont down to Burr Ridge, Bolingbrook, and Woodridge. These are indications, at least by our radar, of tennis ball to baseball size hail, and this is on your doorstep in Lamont. Luckily, if you're in Chicago wondering about your roof or your car, notice how this hail core has largely missed us. Can't promise that this afternoon's additional complex of storms will be the same, but you can see that that tornado threat and the hail core with this storm skirting southwest of Chicago and moving away. Kylie, what's the tornado circulation looking like right now? What are you watching?
All right, so we're going to continue to monitor this for the next few scans. It's really close to the radar right now, but for everybody watching in Orland Park, Frankfort, you need to make sure that you're in your safe shelter immediately, your safe place. So we're going to be on the air until this tornado warning does either get lifted early, or if it does expire, it expires at 1:15. So this is still for a good chunk of sections of Cook County, just a very sliver of DuPage County still, and then back into Will County. So Orland Park, you're still included in that. So I want to go ahead and put the latest track. It's still moving at 30 miles per hour to the southeast, and it looks like they actually did just extend that tornado warning. So we're going to go ahead and pop that on, and then we'll get a new and fresh storm track for everybody.
Will County through 1.
Okay, so Will County until 1 o'clock. So Lockport, Joliet, you are now included in this. Frankfort. So these storms are moving south to the southeast, still at 30 miles per hour. David, I think that was the latest of that new tornado warning that just got issued.
Yeah.
Yep, so it looks like that one goes until 1 o'clock. Now it's moving at 35 miles per hour. So it's actually picking up some steam, and I think it's because it is going into more of a favorable environment. So putting that storm track, places like Homer Glen at 12:37, so you have about 5 minutes until this rotation is quickly moving over your area. New Lenox at 12:45, Frankfort at 12:51, Moni at 1:04, Bourbonnais at 1:28. So these are highly populated areas that we are continuing to track with this rotation. Again, this tornado warning has a damage possible tag on it. We're still keeping an eye on that flooding too, and I'm going to clear that. So we're going to take a look at the flash flooding, because there is a lot of flooding out there. I'm also seeing some reports from our chat that there's overpasses, viaducts that are completely flooded. That is a flooded roadway at Washington and 21st. So we're just seeing some of these reports coming out of that. So even though you may not be under that tornado warning, that's why we're on here breaking into programming, we're still going to be dealing with these showers and storms continuing to roll through this afternoon, even into the evening hours. So this is only really the start of what is still yet to come. And the reason why is because this is a warm front that is really hugging the coast of Lake Michigan. So that warm front is triggering these rain showers and thunderstorms. We have a very unstable air mass. You saw this morning just how soupy and thick it was outdoors. The dew points are in the 70s, if not the 80s in some areas. So that's just that tropical air mass. So yes, we do have those that tornado warning in place for sections of Cook, DuPage, and Will County, but we also have some flash flooding that we're going to have to monitor for northern sections of Cook County, even back into DuPage County, and then to some areas, including Waukegan, dealing with some of these thunderstorms continuing to roll through too. So I do want to check in on the wind gusts that we have, and it looks like we've had a 51 wind gust reading, a 51 mile per hour wind gust reading in DuPage, so quite impressive. 23 in Schaumburg, O'Hare, 30 mile per hour. So these winds are really getting feisty, not only in the tornado location, but elsewhere surrounding that too. So again, we're dealing with flash flooding. So far, we do have this one flash flood warning that goes until 4 p.m. This is for sections of DuPage County as well as Cook County. It does hug Lake County on the Indiana side. And then the only watch that we have is LaPorte County. That severe thunderstorm watch goes until 7 p.m. We could still see a watch getting extended into the Illinois side. We did have a mesoscale discussion earlier today with a 60% chance for that to happen. So of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye with the National Weather Service to see if they do issue that watch or not. But David, let's go ahead and go send things back over to you with your radar so you can track.
Thanks for that analysis, Kylie. Just got a report of a rotating wall cloud over Lewis University Airport with this storm that is moving southward. So a continued tornado threat now moving farther and farther southwestward away from Chicago. But notice these waves of additional severe storms are up the North Shore and also into Kenosha and Racine. These are really torrential rain producers. So as these continue to pound Chicago, we'll get waves of damaging thunderstorm wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour and waves of really heavy rain. 3 hours ago, I was looking at 2 different computer models that both said 4 to 8 inches of rain is possible in Cook County this afternoon. When you see something like that, of course, you're naturally skeptical. With this setup, though, and with, look at this, another round of damaging storms coming from Oshkosh and Green Bay this afternoon and early evening, it is very possible that we are entering a really serious flood threat and setup in Chicago. Southwest of town, though, let's go into the tornado warning. DuPage County has been dropped, so Darien, you guys are out of the tornado warning and can stop your tornado precautions, if you will. Let's go on the now frame of the radar, though, and you can see as we look at latest in NWS chat as well. The latest right here from our radar, which is really good at pinpointing these, showing a damaging thunderstorm wind gust entering Homer Glen now. Stay away from the outdoors. Stay away from the north side of your house as well. If there is thunderstorm wind damage, this is blasting into your area at 60 to 70 miles an hour, and it's moving from north to south. So if you're on the south side of your house, you can imagine how there's more protection, more walls between you and that destructive thunderstorm wind. If there is a tornado, it could be buried in this rain and hail. Let's look a little deeper into the storm on the velocity and the storm relative velocity. Right here, we're seeing rotation from Orland Park northwestward. So Goodings Grove and Orland Park, you guys are really under the gun now for a potential tornado on your doorstep. Where green meets red, these are rotating low-level winds, and you can see what we call the low-level lock. There's a new scan showing a stronger tornadic rotation right over Orland Park, just east of Homer Glen and approaching Orland Hills. Orland Park and Orland Hills and Homer Glen, we need to be in our tornado safe place right now. If you need a reminder, here's an illustration. Of course, the basement or a storm shelter is ideal, but if that's not an option for you, this is a blueprint of your house, let's say. We want you in the interior-most room. Maybe it's a coat closet or a bathroom, something under the stairs. This will put several layers of walls, several layers of protection between you and that outside storm. Of course, lowest floor of your home, business, or apartment is always preferable. This is a really strong rotation that we're seeing right now over Orland Park. If we switch to the storm relative velocity, this subtracts the storm motion from it, so you can oftentimes more clearly see that green next to red. And this is not only green and red that are next to each other, this is a really strong blue showing up on the radar, which you can see there is an even stronger wind signature. So all of this is on the southwest side of Chicago and moving farther away from the city, but right here over Orland Park, Orland Hills, and moving southeastward, still at 30 miles an hour, Kylie? 30 miles an hour toward the southeast. So Mokina, Tinley Park, Frankfort, eventually Moni, if this holds together, and we don't have much reason to think it won't, we are under the gun for a potential tornado. And on the backside of this, Homer Glen as well. You guys are about to get hit by monster hail that might be quite destructive just by itself. Let's check in real quick on the debris signature, if there is one. This is a different, oh, look at that. There's a different mode of the radar, and this is probably a tornado on the ground. Right on the west side of Orland Park, this is a likely tornado on the ground. We're not only seeing this is where the low-level lock is picked up by our radar, but this is a drop in the correlation coefficient, meaning this is tornadic debris in the air right now, east of Homer Glen on the west side of Orland Park. There it goes. There's a fresh radar scan. Now, we got a TDS. Look at that. I was just saying we had tornadic debris. Now our computer model agrees. This is our radar showing that gray cylinder. This is a tornadic debris signature. So now the tornado is confirmed by radar. We don't always have a spotter confirming it. Sometimes it's rain wrapped or it's nighttime. You can't see. This is a confirmed tornado now because it has a TDS, a tornadic debris signature. This is moving through Orland Park on the east side of Goodings Grove. There's Homer Glen right there. You guys need to be in your safe place as well, along with Orland Hills. Hopefully Homer Glen, this misses you to the east. It's likely to, but you're so close that this tornado could wobble westward or eastward. We need everybody, if your phone went off with the EAS tone, the emergency alert siren, we need you to be in your safe place. So there's the likely tornado on the ground. I'll say tornado on the ground. It's right here. This is on 45 on the south side of Orland Park. So approaching 45 and Route 6, it looks like. It right now is over 151st Street, where it hits 45. So if these areas sound familiar to you, hopefully you are in your tornado safe place. Turn up your TV, go in the coat closet or in the basement, maybe take your iPad or your phone with you, go to cbschicago.com or stream us via our app. We will not leave you until the tornado threat is over. Kylie and I promise you that. And as this moves south and southeast, we're at 35 miles an hour. This is really getting quite close, 30 miles an hour, I should say, really getting quite close to Orland Hills. So just to get you oriented on the broad view, I'll give it back to Kylie here in a minute. We have a confirmed tornado now on the southwest, far southwest suburbs, over Orland Park near Homer Glen, and moving southeastward. In Chicago, we have flash flood warnings in effect, more storms approaching from the North Shore and Wilmette, but no tornado threat here imminently. Kylie, this just took a turn toward a much more serious situation with this tornado confirmed.
It really did. So here's the latest track. That storm motion, as David mentioned, it is moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. So these are slow moving storms. We're talking about torrential rainfall. And the problem with this is a lot of the tornadic activity that's been happening, it's going to be rain wrapped. So it's going to be really hard to see. Plus just how foggy it's been since the start of today. It is just really going to be not a great environment to see the tornado if it does pass through your area. So places including Moneca, 1244. So you need to be in your safe place right now. Frankfort at 1250, Green Garden 1259, Moni at 105, Peatone at 113, Beecher at 122. So this is moving southeast, but it could be wobbling a little bit either to the east or to the west. So if you're really anywhere in that polygon, that tornado warning, if your phone's going off, if you're watching us and you're saying, hey, this is my area, you need to make sure you're seeking shelter immediately. We have been dealing with some very impressive winds with this. It looks like it's going to take a while for our computer system to catch up with the winds, but here's a look at what you can expect for the rest of the day. Yes, we are tracking the storms right now, but we're going to be in for more rain showers and storms as the afternoon does go on. We're still dealing with a very unstable environment. We have temperatures right now well into the 80s, unless the thunderstorm did pass through your area. Temperatures then are going to be in the 70s, a little bit cooler, but the dew points have been in the 70s to the 80s, and that is creating just that very sticky and just oppressive feeling air mass outdoors. So we're going to continue to track this warm front that does move through and does lift towards the north for the next few hours, but then a cold front's eventually going to shift in, and that cold front is going to be pushing through closer to about 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So our latest hour-by-hour futurecast, yes, it's been having some struggles over the past few days, really pinpointing out the timing, but it has been doing a great job at showcasing where the rotation is at, where we do have that heavy amount of rainfall, and also where those strong damaging winds are, because this is not just going to be a tornado concern, David. It is also going to be possibly a straight line wind event, especially as we look ahead to this afternoon.
Oh, definitely. And not to mention the flood concern, as you were saying as well. We have repeated rounds of storms hitting Chicago from the north. Just got a report from one of our storm spotters in Winnetka from this next round moving toward Chicago. Estimated winds of 65 to 70 miles per hour and hail falling in Winnetka with this next batch of storms. That by itself is a severe storm, and it's moving into Chicago. But the main concern is right here. So we have kind of an interesting setup here over Homer Glen, Orland Park, down to Tinley Park, where now the confirmed tornado via this tornadic debris signature here is not on the front end of the storm where you could see it if you were foolhardy enough to look instead of heeding your tornado warnings, but it's rain wrapped. It's back behind it. So if you look at the velocity, you can see where the rotating part of this storm is. Maybe this pure velocity will give us a little better. And it's kind of broad, but it's right here between Orland Park, Homer Glen, and Tinley Park. We have really strong winds blowing away from the radar, really strong winds blowing toward the radar. And not only that, but this gray thing is very rare to see, especially in our area. This is a tornadic debris signature, which is the radar saying, I don't only see rotation, I see stuff flying in the air that's not usually there and not supposed to be there. Let's check back in on this, whoops, let's get you back to the map. Check back in on our tornadic debris signature here so we can see what the radar is seeing. And if we zoom in here to Orland Park, she's live for us? Okay, we're going to go to Summit in just a moment with our Sabrina Franza. Our crew is fanning out across the field to show us perspective of this. I'm looking right here for a drop in the colors, not red and purple, but some of these yellows and greens. It doesn't need to just be anywhere. It needs to coincide with the rotating part of the storm. So notice our radar is picking it up right here. It may have moved just south or southeastward near Homer Glen, near Orland Hills. If we go back to the velocity mode of the radar, we've seen the rotation kind of broaden out. So honestly, it's really tough to tell you exactly where the tornado is. 5 minutes ago, I said it's right on the south side of Orland Park. You could see the streets that it was over. But now, and look at that, we've lost our debris signature. As we speak here, the radar is seeing the same thing and spitting it out 30 seconds after I say it. This rotation has now broadened. We don't have tornadic debris flying in the air anymore. These are good signs, but it doesn't mean we can disregard this storm. But if there is a tornado with this storm, it's now not in Homer Glen or Orland Park or Orland Hills. You guys can all come out of your tornado safe place. Homer Glen, surrounding areas, you are out of the tornado warning. Our Chief Meteorologist Albert Ramon with Kylie Miller. We have team coverage here in the First Alert Weather Center. We'll get to them in just a moment. We're watching now on this tornado warning. The area, the geographic footprint has been trimmed way down. So Tinley Park down to Frankfort and Park Forest. If you're anywhere in that polygon or that shape, and your phone has gone off, this is why. We have a potential tornado on your doorstep. Rotating winds here from Orland Hills to Tinley Park. You can see the rotation has jumped eastward after it moved through Orland Park, where we had a confirmed tornadic debris signature. If we have a tornado on this storm, it's right here over Tinley Park, where we need to be in our tornado safe place right now. Not only are we watching this, but on the backside, as these storms move away, let me show you the hail size, because I told you places like Homer Glen, you guys are in the clear for tornadoes, at least for now. Look at what you're getting hammered with, though. On the east side of Homer Glen and Orland Park, down to Orland Hills, this is our radar at least picking up on this few thousand feet above the ground, might be reaching the ground, of baseball-size hail or larger. We don't have a color that goes larger than that. The next size up would be softball size or teacup size, 3 inches plus. What we have regardless, from Worth down to Orland Park and westward, a big, broad swath of damaging hail. Fortunately for our Chicago residents, this is not over the city, and it's moving away from the city. But we have a lot of friends who live down here in the southwest suburbs who are just getting insult after injury. Not only the tornado threat right here over Tinley Park, but a big blast of damaging 70-mile-per-hour thunderstorm winds, incredible hail. And look at these blacks here over Orland Park. This is something you don't see on the radar either very often at all. Talk about the color scale right there. Reds, purples, that's an intense storm. Orland Hills, these are reflectivities that are off the chart. This is radar beam bouncing off of stuff that 67 dBz. This is, I know this is a little technical here in the weeds, but this is a lot of stuff falling from the clouds. It's torrential rain capable of producing flash flooding. It's also really large and damaging hail. When you see these blacks, that's a sure sign that there is damaging hail falling from Alpine to Orland Hills and moving over Tinley Park as well. This whole big burst of thunderstorm winds and all of the associated risks is moving southward. In the city, we have some heavy rain moving southward, but another batch coming in from the north. So let's put this into motion, and we'll get back to the tornado warning with Albert and Kylie in just a minute. But if we put this into motion on the radar, in Chicago, you might think, phew, dodged a bullet, right? Not necessarily, because we have a flash flood warning in effect for the city, and if we pan this upward, you can see how coming down the North Shore and blasting into Chicago, another severe storm capable of damaging winds, capable of large damaging hail. It's as dark as night outside right now in the loop. I'll take you to a camera in a minute. And we have another round after that crossing in from Wisconsin, and another, and then another. This is the complex of storms that we're actually most concerned with, is still a couple hundred miles away to our north. That one could bring a broad swath of thunderstorm wind damage. I'll leave you here with our estimated rain totals to this point, and it has been very impressive. Rainfall over the past not only hour, but over the past 3 hours. Let's pause the radar now. And look at this. Some of these yellows are showing up to, on the color scale there, 2-3 inches of rain in a very short period of time. If we query some of these are no doubt causing roadway and viaduct flooding from Lyons to Summit, Burbank. 2 to 3 inches of rain observed by our radar, at least. These usually line up very, very well with the ground truth, if you will, on the radar. We've got our chief meteorologist, Albert Ramon, in the house. Team coverage continues. Albert, this has been a pretty serious situation, hasn't it? Still with the tornado warning, rather, over Tinley Park.
Yes, so we now have a destructive thunderstorm with this one. Weather Service saying possible 90-mile-per-hour straight-line winds. So if you are in the communities of Madison, Richmond Park, Park Forest, Crete, we need you to get away from north and east-facing windows. This is that tornadic thunderstorm that David and Kylie have been focusing in on over the last hour, and the couplet, that rotation has lessened. That's the good news, but you see that huge... All right, new tornado warning also issued because of this one, but you can see how that large area of intense yellows and oranges has expanded. That's where we have the potential for 90-mile-per-hour winds. This is a destructive thunderstorm, and you see it headed towards St. John down the road, but the immediate issue is going to be the Madison and Crete area. So you and I will share this weather computer. So everyone at 12:50, there are multiple issues going on the Doppler radar. This is the main concern. This is the thunderstorm David and Kylie have been tracking with tight rotation. And you see some of the communities here. There's Madison, there's Richmond Park, there's Park Forest, there's Olympia Fields, there's Chicago Heights, Flossmoor, Homewood area. You have to get away from north and east facing windows. There's potential for, yes, a tornado, but I think you need even greater threat of what we're seeing on the Doppler radar are intense destructive winds on the order of at least 90 miles per hour. This is going to certainly impact your power situation. Anytime we get winds in our area that exceed 80 miles per hour, we have tens of thousands of customers that go without power. That's going to be the case for this portion of southern sections of Cook County, and eventually will be making its way into northwest Indiana. So on the big reset, there are multiple things at play right now. We have the tornado warning that Kylie just said was reissued. We'll talk about that in a minute. Looks like we have a confirmed tag on that too, so we'll come back and look at that. We have also the tornado warning that does extend now into Lake County of I-65 here in northwest Indiana. And on top of all of that, the rain is torrential across Chicago and Cook County, and that's why we have active flash flood warnings in effect. So let's come back and take a look at the immediate threat. We'll go back to Kylie, and she'll focus in on the city of Chicago, but the immediate threat again is Flossmoor and Chicago Heights to Crete. All right, let's go to LaSalle, Orland Hills. Okay, what do you got? Let's see what you got. It seems urgent. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Is that Sabrina? That's Sabrina. Oh, it's Saul.
No, this is Asha Al-Razai. Yep. Can you guys hear me? So I'm in Orland Park. I'm in my car, was running some errands before my shift at 2 o'clock actually is going to start. So I'll be joining you guys, I'm sure, shortly. But I'm under a structure connected to a Chase Bank where they have the drive-up ATMs. There's a bunch of cars that have kind of taken cover under here with me. But I've been watching you guys back at the studio for probably the last 30 minutes or so as I started to get some of those tornado warnings on my phone. Pulled you guys up, and David, I literally heard you say as I was driving around that it is not a good day to be out running around. So I took cover as soon as I saw those tornado warnings come in, and just saw some hail come down, I'd say about inch-size hail, and it's raining really bad. But I believe that the tornado that was really close to me did pass. We got a really, really strong storm band that came over us here, I would say about 5 minutes ago. And now just rain-wrapped, as Kylie was talking about, pouring really, really hard. The hail has actually stopped here, too. So just taking cover and waiting for this to pass. Need to head up northwest further. So hopefully I'll be able to get out of this storm here soon.
Stay safe. Check in when you get new information for us. I got to tell you this, everybody. We have to treat this like a large tornado. And here's the reason why. There is a large swath of winds here of 80, 85, maybe even 90 miles per hour. The Weather Service is talking about more of a tornado-like straight line wind event taking place. Monee and Richmond Park, Chicago Heights, and Crete. Steger, you see you're included as well. Down the road will be St. John and Crown Point. We have to take this warning as serious as we've ever taken taking a warning away from north and east facing windows. It could blow out, could get debris, could cut you up. We want to treat this very large area of destructive winds like you would a tornado for a larger area. And there's certainly tornado warnings that are posted here for these communities. We also have areas of spin that the radar is picking up near Harvey and Alsip, but we'll take a look at the velocity scan. And gosh, whenever we see colors like this from Homewood to Flossmoor and stretching out here just off to the east of Frankfort, this is again where we're looking at the potential for winds headed into Madison as we speak as high as 90 miles per hour. So we'll come and query some of these darker colors. And this is pretty close to the surface. This may be just above the surface, but we're talking about straight line winds of 91 miles per hour headed into Madison right now and over the next 5 minutes headed into Park Forest and Richmond Park. Let's turn on David Yeoman's mic. Go ahead, David.
Circulation is on the northeast side of that near Harvey, northeast of there, and the circulation has changed course. It's not moving southeastward, it's moving northeastward into Harvey.
Okay, let's take a look. There it is.
Right there. You see that tightening there east of Markham?
Yep, I see
right
it.
there, approaching Harvey.
Spinning upward, almost like occluding a little bit. So we're talking about 294, the Harvey area, the Dalton area. Let's get to our safe place, right? Let's get to that center room, lowest floor, basement's best. If you don't have a basement, it's going to be the first floor always as winds accelerate as you go up in height. So no second floor, but we have the potential for a tornadic signature coming into Harvey as we speak with this very wild looking thunderstorm. The southern portion headed down to the southeast, northern portion kind of curving northward, and we have areas of spin on the Doppler radar. We'll come back to live mode right now to the north of Chicago Heights. Our radar is picking up on an area of spin around Glenwood and Thornton and headed to Calumet City and Lansing right now. So it's this portion of southern Cook County getting hit so hard by destructive winds. We don't say that lightly. Anything in the 80 mile per hour range plus is destructive, and we're in the 90 mile per hour range right now, headed through Flossmoor and just minutes away from heading into Chicago Heights. We don't want to ignore, Kylie, areas of Chicago, and Kylie's been keeping an eye on central Cook County and the city of Chicago, and it looks like we even have a few areas of spin not too far from Oak Park and heavy rainfall, especially on the north and also northwest side. Let's check in with Kylie in the Weather Center.
Yeah, so these problems are going to continue as we just have a very unstable environment. I want to show everyone these temperatures. Yes, sir, we do have the rainfall moving through. Temperatures have been cooling very quickly, but still other locations like Ottawa, back into DeKalb in the 80s to near 90 degrees. The dew points have really been skyrocketing today in the upper 70s, low 80s. You're looking outside and it looks like it's nighttime just because it's been so soupy out there for today, just because we have this oppressive air mass in place. Now, as David was also mentioning, Cook County, DuPage County, Will County, some areas picked up over 3 inches of rainwater in the matter of about half an hour to an hour. So that has prompted flash flood warnings. This continues until 4 p.m. as well. And we're still keeping a close eye on Lake County on the Illinois side, just because to the north on the other side of the border into Wisconsin, that flash flood warning does continue for these next several hours too. But we've been keeping a close eye on rotation there, that heavy rainfall. So as we do look at, I'm going to clear this track because that is no longer there. You can still see Chicago dealing with heavy rainfall. We have a street side studio. We're looking outside right now. Umbrellas are flying if people are trying to walk outside with an umbrella. Heavy rainfall. And the problem, Albert, with this is any of those tornadoes that do produce, they're going to be rain wrapped. So it's going to be really hard to see on top of the already low visibility.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So let's recap on what we have going on. As Kylie said, it's an increasing flash flood threat. Kylie and David are keeping an eye on that. We're keeping an eye on the destructive winds that are also impacting southern sections of Cook County. And I'm going to give you a quick update on the winds here, and we'll go to Sabrina, who is near the Midway area, in just a second. But let me just get you updated on where the worst the winds are with this particular thunderstorm. And again, it's moving into Chicago Heights. It's Park Forest. It's headed into Crete. But this area of darker oranges, that's where we have the potential for 85 to 90 mile per hour winds, destructive winds. It's this area that's in this destructive severe thunderstorm warning and also a tornado warning, which includes Crete, where you got to get away from windows, in particular north and east facing windows. On top of all of that, as David Yeomans was mentioning, there are areas of spin near Harvey, an area of spin out here towards the west of Lansing. And this is the same thunderstorm as we come and look at the radar from the last about 30 minutes that moved its way through central areas of Cook County into DuPage County. And let's check in with Sabrina Franza. Sabrina is keeping an eye on the flooding situation, the damage situation. Sabrina, give us a location where you're at, what you're seeing, and take it from here.
Hey, Albert. Yeah, we are in Summit right now, in between Summit and kind of on the border of Bedford Park. And the street that we were trying to get down to head towards Orland Park is just so completely flooded that I don't know if you can see the woman who's standing in front of our car right now. She was in her car. Her car was flooded. It no longer would work. So she's been sitting in her car for about 15 minutes or so now, just had to abandon it on the side of the road. We're just trying to turn around to see if we could show you the actual street itself that is just completely flooded here. And we are near the Des Plaines River, and not sure if this has anything to do with that, but the cars here are just, their tires are either completely or halfway submerged. On our way here, we were driving and on the radio heard, usually what you hear is that testing, this is a test sound. And then it turned out to be the complete opposite of a test. Obviously, everyone was ordered to shelter in place. And for a period, we pulled over at a gas station before we ended up here. But it's no longer actively thunderstorming. It's just this huge flood mess, and all of the homes that are on this street are now definitely dealing with some sort of damage because of all of this.
Sabrina Franza live with reports on the flooding. Thank you so much, Sabrina. These storms have been kind of a triple threat. Flooding, hail, tornadoes, I guess quadruple. Wind damage is a big one as well. There she is in the wake of this heavy rain on the southwest side of Chicago. But on the front side, we are still watching some really significant winds with this and two potential tornadic circulations. So let's zoom in, because since Albert left you just a couple moments ago, this storm has continued to evolve. I always tell you that, when you have a big thunderstorm wind gust pushing out like this, on the periphery of that big push, it's like if you pushed your hands through water. On the north side and on the east side, you can get these little eddies that spin up, and on a scale as big as the atmosphere, those eddies turn into tornadoes. So our immediate concern is still in Harvey, but if you ask me, it's actually shifting a little bit toward the southeast. So if I freeze it on the current radar frame, folks in Lansing toward Hammond, Indiana, we need to be in our tornado safe place, because this right here, this low-level lock east of Homewood and Flossmoor actually has a tighter rotation on it than this one near Harvey. But we have two potential tornadoes on the ground. National Weather Service about 60 seconds ago calling this a likely tornado in Harvey. And they're both in extreme southern Cook County, near Homewood and Flossmoor, moving toward the east and southeast into Lake County, Indiana. So you can see it on the bottom of your screen, extreme southern Cook County, eastern Will County, and Lake County, Indiana. We need to be in our tornado safe place right now. If we look a little closer at both of these tornadic circulations, let me put you right over them so you can get the best possible view and switch you over to the velocity mode. This storm is not only producing damaging thunderstorm wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour, which is truly remarkable, but we also have these little areas of rotation. There's one right there. This could be a tornado between Linwood and Lansing moving eastward, and another one back here on the north side of Homewood, green next to red, or even this more serious orange color. That's another indication of a potential tornado. Let me just make sure that the storm relative velocity, yeah, you can even see it better here. So Lansing to Linwood, I'll put this into motion and you can see that this is moving eastward at a pretty good clip. So both of these could be brief, they could be fleeting, hopefully, but both of these are possible tornadoes, one between Harvey and Homewood, another near Lansing moving toward Hammond, Indiana. National Weather Service just coming to us saying likely tornado near Harvey appears to have dissipated for the time being. As we were just saying, additional circulations continue to form briefly along the leading edge of this storm near Lansing. This is exactly what we were just showing you. Tornadoes expected to be brief and generally weak, but even a weak tornado can still have 90, 100 mile per hour winds, and radar indicates significant straight line winds over a larger area south of this storm coming from the Weather Service. Here's that big swath of damaging thunderstorm winds expanding out and away from Chicago. This is not moving toward or into the city, but look at this. It just blasted through Park Forest, Crete, and Chicago Heights. The leading edge of this approaching Peatone, Beecher, St. John, and Cedar Lake, Indiana. These are really significant storms, and as Albert was saying, we need to treat this. This is a destructive thunderstorm warning, a special type of severe thunderstorm warning. Treat it as a big tornado, 10, 15 miles across, because 90-mile-per-hour winds, like we're likely seeing here, these are equivalent to an EF1 tornado. So a truly remarkable sight. Albert, what do you got?
So can you take WX2? I got a brand new storm track for you, Nancy, on WX2. There you go. Stay at the wall, though, David.
Yep.
There's some of the highlights. Moving now southeast at 40 miles per hour. Potential winds as high as 90 miles per hour.
Yeah, 90 miles per hour. So here's the big tornado, if you will, that we were just talking about. This is not a tornado, but it's a huge swath of tornado strength damaging winds heading into these communities at the times listed. Back on Weather 4. Thank you, Nancy, for pulling that one up for us as this storm moves away from southern parts of Cook County. Back on Weather 4, I want to give you a live look at some parts of Chicago which are seeing torrential downpours and the potential of flooding, as our Sabrina Franza on the southwest side was just showing us. Do we have Weather 4, Nancy? Thank you so much. Here's a live view outside of our Daily Plaza studios. You can see one lone worker there walking around with the umbrella. A lot of people seeking shelter otherwise. Some cars with their headlights on. I mean, it looks like it's 8:30 p.m., doesn't it? It's dark out there. Rain falling. These are really significant storms that are moving through the area. Damaging thunderstorm wind gusts moving south of Chicago, though, into places like Crete and Schererville. If we take you on a brief tour, I want to show you also what it looks like at Grant Park, because we're getting some really heavy rain in the city. This by itself is disrupting plans. Even if you don't end up having wind damage, even if you don't end up having a flooded basement, hopefully yourself, a day like this is going to make traffic a nightmare this afternoon if you have somewhere to get out and be. It's going to make just, going about your daily day a lot different than it typically is. And that is not the only storm that we're watching. If we switch back to the traditional type of radar, if we look back in Chicago, here's that next wave of really heavy rain prompting the flash flood warning. Here's another little one clipping the North Shore near Waukegan, moving down toward Evanston. And on the much broader view, I know the radar gets a little grainy up here, but this is something that we'll have to contend with as well. A big swath of damaging thunderstorm winds could return to more areas, even west of Chicago, depending on how this plays out this afternoon. A quick look at the future. What is in store here over the next 6 hours or so? And this model has finally caught on. Check it out. There's the timeline. Here's current. Here are the storms right now. And look at this. Storm after storm keeps pounding Chicago for the next couple of hours. Here we are, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, more heavy rain in the city. This could be a serious flood situation developing in Cook County that will impact many of our not only midday plans, but the evening rush. We could have flooded roadways and viaducts interfering with the evening rush this evening in Chicago. So a number of threats that we're still watching on our radars. That's why we've got team coverage for you here all day in the First Alert Weather Center. What are we watching back there in the Weather Center? Let's go over to Kylie Miller.
We're going to have a breakdown really quickly of all of the watches, warnings that we currently are experiencing here in the Chicagoland area. So we currently have 2 tornado warnings with a damage possible tag. The first one is for sections of eastern Cook County, even back into Lake County. You can see where that polygon is lighting up. This goes until 1:45, so we still have plenty of time to go. This is the area that you need to make sure that you are in your safe place. We also have that second tornado warning, the one that still continues to go until 1:45. This is for, again, sections of Cook County, Lake County, as well as Will County. So we have 2 tornado warnings that we're keeping a close eye on. Yes, as Albert's been saying, so as David, we've got to treat this as one large tornado. On the outskirts of that, the National Weather Service has pulled the trigger and issued some severe thunderstorm warnings. That goes for Porter County, back into northern portions of Newton and Jasper counties, even back into Kankakee County. So just because you're not under a tornado warning for those areas, the surrounding locations, does not mean you're in the clear, because as we've been watching these storms progress, they are moving towards the south, slightly towards the southeast, and they have been changing direction very quickly. So a tornado warning could get issued for your area. So you need to seek shelter immediately, whether you're in the red color or the yellow color. So really, if you're across northwest Indiana, back into Cook County, even into Kankakee County, you definitely need to get to your safe place immediately. And it looks like we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that we're going to quickly go through, and then we're going to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist Albert Ramon. So it looks like we have that new tornado warning with that damage possible tag. Again, that goes until 1:45, but in the surrounding areas, Kankakee County, back into now central portions of Newton and Jasper County under that severe thunderstorm warning. Albert?
So you were talking about the wind threat, you're talking about the flood threat. You can't get winds to move into one of the most populated metros in the entire United States without getting tens of thousands of customers without power, and that's what we're getting word of 165,000 customers, ComEd customers, without power right now as these intense thunderstorms go on through the area. So we can actually load one of our maps here, and this will continue to get updated, but as of the latest track from our data system, the worst, at least up until right now, the worst of the power outages is in DuPage County with 70,000 customers without power there, and these numbers are growing from what we're hearing from the newsroom. So if you are not being impacted by storms yet, let's have our tablet, let's have our phones charged up. That way you can stay connected with us and receive those watches and warnings as they come in. David's got something new. What do you have, David?
Severe thunderstorm warning with the leading edge of straight line upgraded to 100 miles an hour.
Okay, this is something that we don't see typically in our area. We have a destructive thunderstorm that's pushing out of Cook County, is impacting areas of Will County and headed into Kankakee County, as well as here in Newton County in northwest Indiana. The potential for straight line winds now of 100 miles per hour. Anything above 60 is severe. Anything above 80, you're starting to get structural damage. And once you get to 100 miles per hour, we're talking about destruction on a wide scale, because it's unlike a quick spin-up tornado where it's certainly going to impact a neighborhood, a few houses. This could impact a very large section of community. So let's get into it with our Doppler radar here, and we'll zoom in. And one thing that we'll look at is embedded in this, winds of 80, 90, and at times gusts of 100 miles per hour, as David was just telling us. So this is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning in effect for portions of Kankakee County. This is going to be the eastern sections of Kankakee County, as well as into Lake County and down towards the south. It now includes places like Lake Village, our friends watching Lake Village, and Newton County as well. The forward speed with this thunderstorm is off towards the southeast at around 40 miles per hour. But I think what the telling of what's going on with the storm is whenever we turn on our velocity, and this shows us where we have the most intense winds. And anytime our radar is showing these areas of darker orange, this is where, again, we have widespread 80 to 90 mile per hour winds, and some of these very dark pixels, that's where we have embedded gusts of 100 miles per hour. So Crete, you just went through it. It's still windy. Things are going to improve here over the next 5 minutes. But Beecher, the winds are just now picking up. You had that first swath of wind. It's heading to your area right now. St. John, you're on the order of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And who's in the path of this destructive thunderstorm? Places like Grant Park here in Kankakee County, northeastern Kankakee County, Momence, Mantino, areas of Lowell, I-65. You have friends, family, business up and down I-65 here in both Lake County and Newton County. Let's get out of this thunderstorm. We are going to have incredible winds here over the next several minutes across I-65, and we have had thunderstorms produce 65 mile per hour winds that have tipped over 18-wheelers, and we're certainly going to get reports like that. So we want to stay away from I-65. Embedded in this destructive wind are quick spin-up tornadoes. If there's any good news, Weather Service is telling us they're likely going to be pretty fast, they'll be pretty weak, but the bottom line, the big headline right now is this wide swath of destructive winds. If you're watching from Crown Point, it's heading to your area as well. Kylie, whenever you get a storm track on this guy, we'll go to your weather computer. Let me see if I can get it going on mine and see if I have enough real estate. But again, it's moving off towards the southeast at around 40 miles per hour. Yeah, I got to do some adjustments in the weather center. Okay, let's go to Kylie. Kylie, let's track this thing out. This big wall of wind, let's call it that, destructive wall of wind, head your way. Here's Kylie in the weather center.
It really is. I mean, 100 mile per hour winds. This is almost unheard of. I have not seen this kind of wording from the National Weather Service in my recent memory. So as we look at the latest storm track, Maryville at 115, Winfield at 126, Keener at 140, Boone coming in at 144, 154, Newton at 159. It looks like Collegeville coming in at 210 in your area, Iroquois at 227. So this is going to continue to take that southeasterly jog. It is moving at 40 miles per hour, so it is starting to move a little bit on the quicker end now. But we're dealing with not only a lot of rainfall, but those very strong gusts. Let's go ahead and see a look at the city, because I know I've been getting reports of people at apartment complexes needing to make sure that everything is secure from their balconies, just because these winds are destructive, especially with all the high rises here across the Chicagoland area. So it looks like Tinley Park, we do have a 45-mile-per-hour wind gust, and you can see the wind direction from this front that's still lifting through. All the winds are out of the south, so heavy rainfall associated with this, as well as that flash flood warning, which now looks like it has been extended to the southern portions of Cook County, and then even into eastern portions of Will County. So a new flash flood warning has been issued. This new one goes until 5 p.m. So we've seen anywhere from 1 to about 3.5, even 4 inches of rainfall in a very short amount of time, just since we've been tracking these storms. And again, we're dealing with this very strong wall of wind. David, I'm going to pass it back over to you, and still having to keep an eye on any amount of rotation in there as well.
Yeah, and no confirmed tornadoes where the storm is right now, but we did just get a spotter confirmation of a tornado about an hour ago when this storm was over Orland Park. Again, there was a confirmed tornado reported near Orland Park with this same storm, but no confirmation since then or before then of whether we actually saw ground truth of tornadoes. Here's the latest storm track. Our Albert Ramon just freshened this up on our weather computer, and look at this. These are the areas where we need to seek shelter, not necessarily for a tornado, but if nothing else, 100-mile-per-hour destructive thunderstorm winds. It's rolling into Crown Point. Minutes from now, it's 1:15. This is 1:17. Lowell at 1:21, Hebron at 1:34, an area that was just hit hard by tornadoes not long ago this year. Wheatfield at 1:50, and other areas after 2 o'clock as this moves toward the southeast. So a destructive gust of thunderstorm winds racing out of Will and eastern Kankakee and southern Cook counties into northwest Indiana. The only tornado warning that we've got right now is Lake County, Indiana, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. So folks, you know, in the backside of this storm, we don't need to take our tornado precautions anymore, but in Lake County, Indiana, we absolutely do. Let's zoom in on this part of the storm near Ross, and then we can actually look right down into this low-level lock on the radar and see not only the destructive thunderstorm wind gusts centered to the south, but if there's any strong rotation. We do, of course, have green next to red, which is why the computer is detecting a low-level lock or a low-level circulation near Ross and on the south side of Gary. So if we zoom out just a second so we can get a broader perspective, put this into motion, you can see the movement of this. It's kind of on the north side of that push of damaging thunderstorm winds. So as a byproduct of that, this potential tornado is right here moving east and southeastward into Ross, into Hobart, New Chicago, Merrillville even. You guys are not immune from this. We need you in your tornado safe place as well. If there is a tornado with this storm, it's right here approaching Ross. And let me just pan back out. I know we have another tornado warning near Crown Point, Cedar Lake, and much of the rest of Lake County, Indiana, but we don't have any strong circulations right now. Now, with that said, look closely at all these notches. It's possible that a brief, weak tornado forms from any of these. So that's why you need to be in your tornado safe place, even in Cedar Lake and Crown Point. We have a warning in effect for you, but just not quite as strong of a rotation indication as what we're seeing here near Ross. So as we pan back out, this is the damaging gust of thunderstorm winds that's expanding southeastward away from Chicago. This is likely to be a widespread wind damage event. I was just measuring it out off screen, and this has already left a damage path 60 miles long from near Schaumburg and Elgin, where the first wind damage report came from this cell, to where it is right now. That's about a 60-mile track. If we want to qualify this as an official derecho, you hear that term sometimes in the summertime, that's a 250-mile track. Now, if this storm keeps going into central Indiana, this may be a derecho that hit our area, but whether or not it is doesn't matter if you've sustained wind damage. And keep in mind, we've got another wind damage producing set of storms that are currently tornado warned, it looks like, up in east central Wisconsin. So a pretty busy day ahead shaping up for our area. In Chicago, back here on the radar, And then I'll give it back to you guys in the Weather Center. Just bouts of heavy rain right now. We do have a flash flood warning and the potential of more severe thunderstorm wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. The main concern I would say right now in the city is flooded roadways. We've seen numerous reports of those coming in as these bouts of heavy rain just continue on and off. Let's go back to you guys. Albert, Ramon, what are you watching?
So just looking at some of the new data rolling in, you showed us one of the models. We'll talk about that in a second, but we have brand new video coming from Orland Park of these destructive thunderstorms that have rolled on in.
Wow.
And as they were moving through Orland Park, they were on the order of 70 to 80 mile per hour gusts. Now we're in 90 to 100 mile per hour wind gusts as these are moving through places like Grant Park and Kankakee County and headed into Newton County and Lake County. We'll look at that in Doppler radar, but
this is also where we saw that report of a tornado too from a spotter.
Right.
So
that's right. Yeah, at times we get these spins in the atmosphere. We're going to use one of our shear products here in a second and look at that. I will say, just doing some quick forecasting in the background, we are unfortunately going to have to deal with another round of thunderstorms coming on in. David and Kylie have been highlighting this earlier this morning, and the new round of data, which is initializing amazingly, picking up on these intense thunderstorms right on top of us and down here towards the south, have more thunderstorms coming in out of Wisconsin. And they have these thunderstorms with rotation and straight line winds and flooding. And David gave us that first alert during the 11 a.m. newscast where he was starting to see signs that, hey, this looks like this could be a big flood event for Chicago. And we already have an active flash flood warning for Cook County, and additional heavy rainfall that could provoke additional flash flooding is in the forecast. So we are on guard now through mid-evening, through about sunset, of additional showers and thunderstorms that are coming on in. Look how enormous this thunderstorm has gotten. This is the same storm that produced that video that you just saw about 45 minutes ago in the Orland Park area, and the area of velocity when we start to clock these winds really tells the story of a huge swath of wind of 80 to 90 miles per hour and occasional gusts upwards of 100 miles per hour. These kind of destructive thunderstorms are actually rare for our area to see them this intense, but if you are watching from Lowell and Crown Point and I-65 here in Lake County and stretching down to Newton County, we have to be ready for destructive winds headed into your neighborhood. And no travel on I-65. If you have a friend or family member doing some traveling, especially if you have someone who's in a high-profile vehicle from an SUV to 18-wheeler, they need to pull over, because this is the kind of wind that will tip these larger high-profile vehicles on their side. We've seen it in the past, and this is an even higher in destructive thunderstorm with tornado warnings attached to it, that we got to be prepared for it. I want to show you this. This is the shear product, and this does a really nice job of pinpointing where we have rotation, but it can also tell us where we have the most intense straight line winds. And anytime this product shows this long rope signature, these are some very, very intense winds from Hobart out here towards Crown Point to Lowell and extending off towards the south and southwest moments. That's in Kankakee County, with the most intense winds now beginning to move off towards the south of Grant Park. On top of that, there are areas of rotation. Our Doppler radar indicating just south of Gary, near Ross, and head into Hobart, an area of spin here. Let's see what we can see on velocity. And yeah, there's a little bit of spin in this area. So on top of widespread destructive straight line winds, quick spin up tornadoes. It's in the forecast for the next several hours as these thunderstorms continue to slide off towards the east and southeast. So it's 1:21. You're watching CBS News Chicago. I'm joined by Kylie Miller and David Yeomans and our entire team. We have teams out in the field. The mobile weather lab is out and about as well. We have three big headlines to tell you. Headline number one, destructive winds impacting now the south suburbs and moving closer to the Kankakee River in Kankakee County and northwest Indiana. That is the number one priority and what we'll be paying most of our attention. Number two is we have torrential downpours that is triggering flash flooding. That's why you see this green area from O'Hare and Arlington Heights all the way down into Will County and extending to the south of there. That is a flash flood warning. And number three, as David and Kylie have been saying, there are more storms up towards the north, and these are prompting tornado warnings headed a little bit closer to Milwaukee over the next hour. And this is an area that had a ton of rainfall and a ton of storms earlier this morning, and that already gives us an indication as forecasters that the atmosphere is already recovering upstream, and we'll likely see the same thing happen down here. So now through sunset, we are on guard for flash flooding flooding, for destructive winds, and also occasional tornado warnings. So we'll monitor those storms upstream in Wisconsin. Let's come back and we'll do a radar tour. We'll start Chicago and head southward. Right now we have thunderstorms that are producing heavy downpours, provoking flash flooding concerns, viaducts in particular, and also on the shoulders of the expressways. Let's watch out for that. But no rotation from this activity. I'll show you on the velocity scan. Really no strong winds. We'll take a look at the shear product just to be safe. It's all rain. It's rain and thunder, but it's, again, adding insult to injury from the flash flood perspective. We head into the south side of Chicago, into southern areas of Cook County, and the only thing that catches my eye on the Doppler radar with this is heavy rainfall and also some hail, but it's hail the size of probably dimes to nickels, and these dimes and nickels are right along the Dan Ryan and moving down towards the south and southeast. You see here on East 95th Street and I-90, that's where we have this area of hail. There could even be some quarters embedded in that hail pocket, and we'll put this into motion just to kind of see the forward direction of this, and this is going to be sliding off towards the south-southeast like so. So that's what we're watching right there. We'll zoom in and we'll show you a few more cross streets, East 90th and also State Street. There are some of the communities that are dealing with heavy rainfall and also the potential for anywhere from nickels to potentially quarter-size hail. Hail has not been a huge factor, at least over the last hour. As David and Kylie were showing you earlier in the day, we had some golf ball, if not larger hen egg-size hail impacting DuPage County. Now we get into Lake County, we get into Will County, we get into Newton County and Kankakee County. This is the monster thunderstorm that's on the radar right now, which has only gotten bigger, and we have destructive winds really focused in over Lake County here in northwest Indiana. So we'll go into live mode, and from Crown Point to Cedar Lake to Lowell, there are widespread 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts here, but at times we have had reports of 90 to even 100 mile per hour wind gusts, not just detected by Doppler radar, but that's what we're getting word from the National Weather Service. On the northern fringe of this thunderstorm, we'll just take a look at back on radar mode. Rain-wrapped, quick spin-up tornadoes. Our Doppler radar continues to say just south of Gary and back here towards the west of Hobart and west of I-65, and areas spin right in there. Here's a look at Beecher and Monee and Crete, areas of really intense rainfall and intense winds. We'll go back to velocity here. These winds have come down, though, in the last 15 minutes, and the worst of which is focused right over Lake County. And where is this all headed? Let's do a new storm track for you. This is headed into places like Lake Village. This is headed into places like Rensselaer over the next 30 minutes. And eventually the Valparaiso area southward, we want to watch it. So we'll look at the velocity scan, because again, that really kind of pinpoint where the worst of this weather is. And we'll draw a line like so, and we'll do a storm track moving off towards the southeast, right around 40 miles per hour. The forward speed on this has been bobbing between 40 and 50 miles per hour, but we'll go 40 right now. Hebron at 129, so it's 125 right now. So just a few minutes from now, Wheatfield at 144, La Crosse at 156, North Judson at 207, and then starts to move out of our viewing area after 2:30. But it's all of these communities under the gun for 90 to 100 mile per hour wind gusts embedded in this destructive thunderstorm. That's what the Weather Service is calling it. And there's also attached tornado warnings with this one for portions of Lake County because of quick spin up tornadoes. But David, on the shear product, this looks to be all straight line winds, at least at the moment. Radar continues to show some areas of spin again to the south of Gary. And as you mentioned, and I was thinking about this driving in because it's just pouring down rain. We've got the flash flood warning in effect. You're our resident expert on the deep tunnel projects that go on here. What's happening in the background? Why are the streets not flooded out? What's going on underneath our feet, and why it's so important of what's to come later this afternoon and evening with this heavy rain moving in?
Yeah, well, great question. And you can see an illustration of that from Summit. Let's actually, if we have audio on this shot, let's take that for just a moment. We had reported tornado sirens in Summit just a moment ago, which is why I wanted the audio. It's important that there are no tornado warnings near Midway on the southwest side of town.
Some communities actually do that. They report for flooding, so that might have been the sirens.
Kylie saying that tornado sirens may have been flash flood activated. So anyway, if you're hearing those in Summit, it's important to know that there is no tornado threat. Those flood threats may be prompting it, but just wanted to clarify that. Now, what Albert's talking about, as we looked at that live view, and I'll switch you over to the rain totals here, I want to actually talk about that deep tunnel project and also how much rain we've gotten, because look at the rainfall totals so far. Let me switch you over here to the good 3-hour look. Some of these yellow and orange swaths are showing 2 to 3 inches indicated by radar, but now we have ground truth. At Grant Park, downtown Chicago, we have 2.05 inches and counting. Let's double check the radar because I'll bet it did a great job estimating that. Here we are right near Grant Park. Oh, this is 1.3, so this is even a little bit low. Let me switch over to 6-hour rainfall totals, see if that's estimating a little better. 1.9. So regardless, we've had this much rain or more. In Wicker Park, we've also had 2.10 inches of rain, so 2 inches plus, now confirmed by rain gauges on the ground at Grant Park, all the way up to Wicker Park. If you have rain totals that you have recorded, we'd love to hear about those. You can report it on our website or on our social media. As all of this rain falls into an extremely urban area, Chicago's flat, right? It was and actually built on a swamp, so drainage doesn't come naturally to this area. But the city engineers 150 years ago built a great network of sewers underground, and even below that, in more recent decades, they've built a network of deep tunnels and huge reservoirs, which we've reported on extensively with our climate investigator Tara Molina and some stories that I've covered here. That's all of this rainwater is filtering down into your local residential sewer. Sometimes you get a backup at the local level where your home has a clog in the sewer and it backs up into your basement. That's a very localized backup, which is still a pain. Or you can get a neighborhood level where the neighborhood pipes get overwhelmed and maybe everybody in the neighborhood sees sewer and basement flooding. But on rare indications, rare occurrences, I should say, like we had a couple of weeks ago after round of rain in Chicago, the water can flow down fine through the neighborhood sewers and even deeper into the deep tunnels and into their reservoirs as they await treatment. Sometimes the treatment plants can't keep up with how much rain is falling, right? So it fills up these massive reservoirs. A couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, we had those reservoirs full. Now, since then, the water treatment plants have sucked all that water back out, and the deep tunnel project was actually in pretty good shape as of yesterday and this morning as this rain fell. So this could be a bright spot. This didn't happen 3 weeks ago with 3 inches plus of rain flowing into the McCook Reservoir, some other reservoirs that we have down toward Calumet City. This happened on an emptier reservoir and a better deep tunnel project. So chances are we've still got some basement flooding. We may even have some sewer overflows, combined sewer overflows, where sewage unfortunately gets into our rivers and our waterways, which is nasty. But the deep tunnel project itself was actually in pretty good shape coming into these storms today. So that's a little something about the flood threat today. Back here on the tornado warnings, we're also focused, of course, on our more immediate concerns, this damaging straight line wind gusts moving from Lake County, Indiana into Porter County, and a couple of tornado warnings in this area as well. Let's turn these on, make sure we're highlighting any areas. Yeah, we've got all these on. So if there's any low-level lock or any tornadic debris, you'll see that here first with a little marker that'll pop up. As Albert was just showing you, this is still more of a straight-line wind gust threat moving from Lake County into Porter and less of a tornado threat at this time. 250,000 customers now reported without power. Albert, thank you for that. We actually have a map of our power outages, and I'll bet that matches up pretty well. 250,000 customers now reported without power. So here are the latest outage numbers. 76,000 customers in DuPage County, 130,000 reported without power in Cook County, 7,000 in Lake County. And these power outages, unfortunately, will spread eastward as the damaging wind gusts spread eastward. Again, 250,000 customers. So probably 500,000 or more people are now without power with this hot, humid, and stormy weather rolling through. As Albert was advising you a couple minutes ago, charging your cell phone and your tablet now while you can is always a good idea, just in case power does get knocked out in your area. Still watching these destructive thunderstorm wind gusts, even if we don't have any tornadoes on the ground. Really impressive stuff working its way through northwest Indiana. Some of these darker pixels, 91 miles per hour indicated by radar, at least, hundreds of feet above ground level. Most of that likely reaching the ground, probably 80, 85 miles an hour of it. And this is rolling into Hebron right now. More destructive thunderstorm winds down toward Lowell. It picked up by radar 70 miles per hour. Just west of Hebron, some of these pixels probably around 80 miles per hour, and there they are. So this is still a very serious gust of thunderstorm winds that's racing eastward and away from the Chicago area. If we track this out, just as Albert was doing for you a moment ago, the forward speed oscillating between 40 and 50 miles per hour as it moves toward the southeast. Caught a little bit of my arm there, I apologize for that. But as this moves southeastward, it's moving into some of these communities at the times listed, including Valparaiso, in really not much time at all, as early as 1:39 p.m. So we'll clear this off, get you back to the home view, and as we watch not only that tornado threat to our south and east, we're still watching the impressive severe thunderstorm threat and flood threat in Chicago. We'll get you back to the home view here. Albert, I was just looking at the latest data, and as we loop this now, you can see more rounds coming into Chicago, another one up in Evanston coming into Chicago, 3 runs in a row of the HRRR, one of our best models, showing 4 to 8 inches of rain in Chicago by the end of the day. We've already had 2.5 inches in some places. Might not be out of the question.
No, you called this during the 11 a.m. newscast where you said, hey, this is going to be a flash flood event type of situation. And yeah, you see this development that's increasing out towards the west, northwestern suburbs. Then we have even more action coming in out of Wisconsin. So 2 immediate threats right now. One is, of course, the destructive winds that are impacting northwest Indiana, active tornado warnings for Lake County and Porter County because of those destructive winds, and backbuilding of thunderstorms. Just in the last, 5 minutes, you're starting to see some additional showers that look pretty innocent at the moment around Elgin and South Elgin and Crystal Lake and Algonquin, but that looks like that's going to fill in. And just to kind of zoom out to tell you the rest of the story, look what's headed our way from upstream, exiting out of Green Bay, headed towards Milwaukee. It's going to be a busy afternoon, and unfortunately, it looks like maybe some intense rain during rush hour. So we do have those active tornado warnings in effect until 2 o'clock. We're at the very least, going to be on TV through 2 o'clock, probably beyond that with these thunderstorms that continue to move off towards the east-southeast. One change that has happened just in the last couple of minutes, the forward speed with these thunderstorms has come down just a bit. And if you saw that loop, it looks like there's a little bit more of an easterly tug. That gives us an idea that these thunderstorms are more rooted to the ground, and they are starting to take in as much moisture and as much heat here from the south and southeast as possible. So with all that new information, let's take a look at the new storm track on this as it moves off to basically the east-southeast at around 35 miles per hour. That way we can give you the first alert on what's happening. And we continue to have an area spin that's moving out of Lake County into Porter County. We'll take a look at that in just a second. So again, forward speed has changed just a bit. Wheatfield at 148, north of Judson at 212, and then beginning to move out of our viewing area right around 230. So at least between now and 230, we're focused in on this destructive thunderstorm that is going on in. It looks like the worst of the winds beginning to make their way through the Valparaiso area, and our Doppler radar is, David and Kylie's been showing you all day today, really great on pinpointing where do we have new areas of spin, and it's saying just above the surface around Hobart to Portage and heading to Valparaiso, there is a little bit of area of spin that should warrant our attention. So let's see what we have on velocity, and there you go, a little bit, but it doesn't take much on days like today to get quick spin up tornadoes. That's one thing that we're watching. The more immediate threat is this widespread area of wind, right now averaging anywhere from 70 to 80 miles per hour coming in out of the north and northwest. That's why if you are in Hebron and Couts and also DeMont, you want to get away from north and also westward facing windows as these destructive winds continue to move on through the area. And on top of that, you get these quick spin up tornadoes. The Shear product does a great job on days like today. There are 2 signatures we keep an eye on. First is this long little snake looking thing. That is the destructive winds that continue to move through Lake County and moving through Porter County and beginning to make their way a little bit closer into northern sections of Jasper County, and also picks up on these little areas of spin that are just a few miles back off towards the west of Valparaiso. For the rest of the area, that's where the severe weather is right now. The rest of the area, including Chicago, it's raining still, but the rain rate's not nearly as heavy. But now we're dealing with the residual issues of flash flooding. So what I think will happen over the next 2 hours is that we'll pivot away from the active tornado warnings, active severe thunderstorm warnings, and get into a flash flood situation, kind of even more aggravated with more rain that is on the way. So only tornado warning that we have in effect right now, control room, just a heads up for you, is going to be for Porter County here in Indiana. That's in effect now until 2 o'clock as we continue to have areas of spin on the Doppler radar. That tornado warning has expired for Lake County, but for Lake County and stretching into Kankakee County and to portions of northern section of Jasper, Newton County, we continue to have severe thunderstorm warnings. And this one in particular for northern sections of Jasper County, a destructive tag. Weather Service will put considerable to destructive when we're dealing with winds potentially 80 plus miles per hour, and that's certainly going to be the case. David Yeomans in the Weather Center. What do you got?
Just a quick report coming into our newsroom from Markham near Homewood of a potential building collapse. There's a large emergency response in Markham in the back end of this storm, out near Harvey and Homewood, south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
This is just an illustration of how destructive these storms can be. That's actually where the potential tornado hit as well. So was this tornado damage? Was this straight line wind damage? We don't know, but we're going to pass along updates as we get them. A large emergency response in Markham for a potential building collapse.
Well, that's right when these thunderstorms were ramping up in intensity. They were going from a 70 to 80 mile per hour type of thunderstorm into the 80 to 100 mile per hour type of thunderstorm, well into the hurricane force winds. And that's a look at the last hour loop of these thunderstorms that have moved through southern areas of Cook County. And you saw here these thunderstorms, a lot more areas of gold and orange. That is the indication of the Doppler radar pinging off of winds of 80, 90 to 100 miles per hour. And now that thunderstorm is one that we continue to focus in on that's moving a little bit more eastwardly now. Seeing that last jump. We'll slow this down for you. We'll do the last 15 minutes. But this thunderstorm now taking more of an easterly turn than southeast. That's why there's still destructive winds on the order of 80 miles per hour possible here in southern areas of Porter County, northern areas of Jasper County, and still radar picking up on some areas of spin here and there. It's not just going to be the winds once these push on through, but we'll likely have an extension in flash flood warnings for this portion of the area. Just a tremendous amount of water coming down with these thunderstorms. This is a huge thunderstorm right now also. Let's take a moment and we'll take a look at what's headed for us for the rest of the afternoon. So we have thunderstorms that are back building out here towards the northwestern suburbs that are worth watching for both a severe weather perspective, but even more so from a flash flood perspective. We also have these additional thunderstorms that are moving a little bit closer to Milwaukee. These are the ones that will be moving right along the immediate lakeshore and probably impacting Chicago over the next few hours. Kylie, could you do me a favor? I'm going to load some of the high resolution stuff. Can you give me a forward speed with these thunderstorms in Wisconsin? We'll try to track those out for you. So while Kylie does that, let's take a look at some of our high resolution models. We'll kind of now forecast for you. This model, this is the HRRR model, has done a brilliant job since I saw you on the 10 o'clock news last night. It was hinting that we'd have an intense line of thunderstorms move into the area between 11 and 1 p.m. That's exactly what happened. And what this has is additional development over the next 6 hours. Move in, and this is a big-time flash flood threat. And you see the areas of black. We talked about this last night on the 10 o'clock news, that when this model shows you little areas of black in the model data, that's indication that the algorithm saying, hey, these thunderstorms could be severe. So the bottom line is additional severe weather and flash flooding. It's certainly going to be possible. I'm going to load one more model because I'm curious. I haven't looked at it yet today. This is the Barron model. And this one is taking a lunch break, so we're just going to ignore the Barron model and we'll focus in on the HRRR model, which again has a proven track record, not just from this severe weather event, but the several that we've had so far this year. So what's the forward speed on those?
South at 30 miles per hour.
Okay, south at 30. So with that being said, let's kind of figure out when these are going to get to the county line. And as soon as my Okay, so there you go. Thank you, David. About 100 miles away from Chicago. We'll actually track that out for you here as well. We'll do our little ruler here. So over the next hour, these thunderstorms are going to be making their way into Milwaukee. Over the next 2 hours, they're going to be making their way into Kenosha County and eventually northern sections of Lake County. So the next 2 hours, we have increasing thunderstorms that could be severe, that could be tornadic, and will likely come in with flooding rains. Northern section of McHenry County and northern sections of Lake County. So at around 3:41, we have thunderstorms, the second round coming on in, and probably during the 4 to 5 o'clock time frame, these begin to move into northern sections of Cook County. That's if they continue on this forward speed. What these thunderstorms will likely do, though, they'll pick up some speed. So let's say the second round due to arrive in the next 2 to 3 hours across most of the area. So if you're getting a little bit of a break right now, and like here in Chicago, it's a good steady rainfall, but it's not severe here in the loop. More rain, unfortunately, as we head into peak rush hour, 4:30, 5 o'clock, a window for winds, for flash flooding. And yes, there's enough spin in the atmosphere, like we've already seen. Additional tornadoes will be possible. So I just want to do a little now forecasting for you to let you know what's headed this way. And what's incredible about today is we have a tremendous amount of rain falling. We have a tremendous amount of energy that's being used up in our atmosphere, and the atmosphere is in real time. Look at this, already already recovering with additional showers and thunderstorms developing, and we don't think that system up towards the north in Wisconsin is going to weaken much. So that's why multiple rounds of severe weather is in the forecast. So let's come back and we'll take a look at the big story right now, and that is these areas of thunderstorms that continue to produce destructive winds on the order of 80 miles per hour. If there's any good news, in the last 20 minutes, the area of concern has gone from 100 mile per hour winds possible down to 80. But we're still in destructive land right now with these thunderstorms. So Lake Village and Deer Park and DeMont and Couture are all included in these severe thunderstorms that are rolling on in. For our friends that are watching from Lake County, yes, you remained under a tornado warning. Over the last several minutes, there's nothing been huge that has caught our eye on a tornado imminent. The radar, see this little cylinder, suggesting there's still at least some mid-level rotation. The height of this tells us where the rotation is. So if this was a shorter cylinder, it'd be tighter rotation at the surface, but there's at least a mid-level rotation that we want to watch. We'll turn on our shear product. You're under a tornado warning, including the city of Valparaiso. But at the moment, there's nothing showing us on the Doppler radar of imminent danger to severe weather. So that's a look at the latest radar scan. David Yeomans, you have something. What do you have?
I want to draw your attention up to Evanston, the cell moving south of Evanston into Chicago. Zoom in on that. There's a little bit of rotation with that one, and it does have a severe thunderstorm warning for 1-inch hail. Let's check out the rotation on that. As we get that, a couple reports from Orland Park, a city that's been hit hard by wind damage today, whether from thunderstorms or tornadoes. Traffic lights out at 153rd and West Ave, 159th and Ravinia. We have several downed trees and power out in the area of Huntington and Highland. That's in Orland Park. And many, many flooding reports coming in from Orland Park, including 151st and Wolf, 151st and Highland. Also in Summit, where our Sabrina Franza checked in earlier, 12 inches of flowing water in Summit near Midway. And here's some hail that was also reported in Orland Park. So far, this will get adjusted. The worst of the damage being reported in DuPage County and also western, southwestern, and southern sections of Cook County with this destructive thunderstorm. Those are where we have the most reports, and of course the flooding rainfall that's over much of Cook County, especially on the shoulders of the expressways and the viaducts and low-lying areas. This is a thunderstorm that David caught our attention to. This is going to be to the south of Evanston. There's some hail offshore that's moving away from the shoreline. That's good news. If we take a look at velocity, nothing strong on the velocity scan, but the shear product is at least saying there's some mid-level areas of rotation. Anyway, that just gives us another indication that this area has already had a good amount of rainfall. Incredible that the atmosphere has already recovered with all that rain and all that energy that's been used up to still allow for hail offshore and some gusty winds, especially aloft. And as David mentioned, this is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this portion of Cook County. It does include downtown Chicago, the Loop, the West Loop, places like Rogers Park and Edgewater. This is in effect until 2:15, so another 30 minutes with that particular thunderstorm. The green area that you see that is including a large swath of the metro from Palatine and Arlington Heights into places like Addison and Burr Ridge, Tinley and Orland Park. That's a flash flood warning. That's in effect. That it also goes all the way down to the southern and eastern sections of Will County right now. So that is the very latest. And we'll go to the Weather Center, Kylie, because you've been keeping an eye on what the Weather Service is taking a look at. You and David did a great job of giving us that first alert of these growing thunderstorms that were pretty innocent around 10:45, 11 a.m. And boom, an indication of just how volatile our atmosphere is. These thunderstorms producing potentially as high as 100 miles per hour as they move through places like Orland Park and Chicago Heights. We'll send it to you.
Just so impressive with all of that. And I do want to show everyone our 4-box of what it's currently looking like across the area, because as Albert mentioned not that long ago, the atmosphere is starting to recover. So places like Oak Brook, we're actually starting to see some sunshine, which is just indication of helping the atmosphere destabilize. Same thing goes for DeKalb, Midway, the O'Hare airports. We've been having reports of flooding, those delays, those ground stops. But I do want to mention, coming in from our newsroom, there are a lot of CTA trains that are being suspended just because there's a lot of debris out there from all of these strong winds. Again, winds today have been gusting anywhere from 40 to 100 miles per hour. So it looks like the Purple Line service is temporarily suspended, and that is near Central for that track. The Red Line also has some major delays. So Red Line trains are running with delays following the debris on tracks like the Loyola full a stop. Service is resuming, but you need to make sure that you're allowing extra time. We also have a suspension on the yellow line and a service disruption to on the purple line, as mentioned, due to debris on the track for the yellow line near Dodge, I should say. So we're seeing some major delays with not only CTA, but if you are going to be traveling by car, by plane, there's going to be delays there too. One of our producers here at CBS News Chicago, Dylan Olson, showed me an image of the highway, the interstate. It just is so submerged with a lot of water, and that was I-80 a little bit earlier. And we're going to be in for more rain showers and more thunderstorms. So still tracking a lot of this heavy rainfall pushing through. The atmosphere is starting to recover towards our north, but some areas are dealing with winds still gusting well over 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour. Again, the baseline for severe thunderstorm warning is 60 miles per hour. We've already exceeded that. We're dealing with more scattered rain showers and thunderstorms now pushing through DuPage County. It looks like even into King County. So we're going to be monitoring not only the areas that have those warnings still, but back off towards the west and definitely to the north too, because we've been dealing on the other side of the border into Wisconsin, a lot of heavy rainfall, a lot of rotation being reported with that. So again, Albert, as well as I'll send it over to David, we're going to see a few more rounds of this as the afternoon progresses.
Yeah, and we're still tracking not only the tornado warning in Porter County for 11 more minutes. Control room, we might be able to take a break on air at 2 if the warning is not extended or another warning is not issued. But we're also watching the round that Kylie was just showing you. So here we are back in Chicago, some rounds of on and off heavy rain. We have flash flood warnings in effect for the city. Many areas have seen over 2.5 inches of rain, and it's still coming as storms somehow regenerate out toward Wheaton and Aurora. But if we zoom out a little bit and check out those storms that Kylie and Albert were just showing you, this is the next round that we're most concerned with. It's packing a really good punch. This is the round that we've had our eye on for about 24 hours now, and timing it out with its accurate forward speed. Here it is north of Milwaukee. It'll be on the doorstep of our viewing area by 3:17. At the speed that it's moving, it's 58 miles away. So again, 3:17, it'll be up in Lake and McHenry counties. What about Chicago? Well, extending that line a little bit farther, it'll be in the city of Chicago, about the northern edge of the city, if you will, by 4:17. So as Albert was mentioning, this is a huge rush hour concern, not only because we have streets flooded right now in Chicago out of our window, but because we have additional storms developing not only near and over the city right now, but another significant wave of rain coming from the north. It is possible that we have over 4 inches of rain in the city by the end of the day. Some computer models saying we could have some areas get 7 or 8 inches, and that's not an amount that we can handle very easily. I'm going to check in actually on the Deep Tunnel project and see how the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District is handling all of this rain. This actually reminds me, we've got a great, if I put this into motion here, we've got a great thing that this radar can do, not only picking up on the rotation of the potential tornadoes, showing you where the rain is, but also the flash flood risk. And I think this is going to be something that we'll have to continue to keep our eye on. The flash flood risk will continue to elevate as these storms regenerate in Chicago. You can see the highest risk shifting now from Oak Lawn down into the south suburbs as the radar animates over the last hour. But if we freeze this flash flood threat, you notice how while the highest threat may remain south of Chicago, as these storms regenerate out toward Elgin, I would not be surprised at all to see the elevated, high, or very high flash flood risk return to the parts of the Chicago area and westward as well. So let's get you back to the most pressing concern right now, not only the big swath of damaging thunderstorm wind gusts in southern Lake, central Porter, and parts of LaPorte County, where severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. LaPorte County, for instance, LaPorte County up here until 2 o'clock this evening, but also for the potential of a tornado. So if we zoom in here to near Valparaiso, we are still under a tornado warning for this area, and this is one that we're going to have to watch. The storm relative velocity showing things usually a little more clearly. We don't have necessarily a tight tornado on the ground, what we're seeing here with radar, but we're also farther away from Romeoville now. So we're about, 50, 60 miles from the radar site. So we tend to, due to the curvature of the earth, have a little fuzzier of a view. We're looking up in the clouds instead of down at the ground level. That's unavoidable. I wish we had weather radars in every county, but you just don't. But nevertheless, the National Weather Service seeing some rotation along with what we're seeing here, green next to red. So all the way from Couts up to Valparaiso, the tornado warning continues at this time until 2 p.m. So if you're in these areas of parts of Porter County, we need you in your tornado safe place. Where is that? As a reminder, of course, many of us know it's just underground. If you have a basement, that's simple as that. But if you don't, here's a blueprint of kind of a sample apartment or house where we want you to be. If you're in central Porter County now under that tornado warning for 7.5 more minutes, interior most room of your house, apartment or office building on the lowest floor possible, away from outside walls, away from windows. That way, you know, if something happens on the north side of your house, you'll be insulated by 2 walls. Something happens on the east side of your house, you got several walls in between you. So maybe it's a coat closet or a bathroom or a guest bedroom or something. We want you in the middle of the structure of a well-built home. Side note, if you are driving or you know people who are driving in a tornado warning, that's actually the worst place that you can be, because even a weak tornado can toss a car with you potentially inside of it. If you are caught in a tornado warning on the road, we don't want you to pull over in a ditch or in an overpass. I know that was some of the guidance 20, 30 years ago, but since then it's become clear that that's a dangerous option and not advised. If we find ourselves in a car in a tornado warning, we need you to pull over to a sturdy shelter nearby. Take the nearest exit, find a gas station, find some building where they'll let you in and shelter from that tornado. So back on the broad view, here we are still watching numerous watches and warnings across the area. The potential for severe thunderstorms continues until early evening today as round after round continue to pile into the area. We'll put the radar into motion here, and you can see that the tornado threat, which is the reason that we're still on air with you, moving from Porter County into LaPorte County. Got our eye on that for at least 6 more minutes, but also the flood threat behind it is going to be of increasing concern. Albert, as you mentioned, the atmosphere has this incredible ability to recharge today. We had dew points of 82 degrees, which is why it felt like a sauna when you walked outside this morning, and that's what's kind of fueling this redevelopment today, isn't it?
And just a little meteorology talk between Kylie, you and myself. The helicity, which is that upward and spinning motion in the atmosphere, looks to still be high, even with the second round coming in between 3 and 4 o'clock, with those storms that you were talking about coming in out of Wisconsin.
So more tornado threat.
Yeah, the boss man upstairs was asking, the next round may be coming in with tornadoes? Yeah, it looks that way. Looks like a flash flood threat, a damaging wind, and a tornado threat with round 2 that is due to arrive here over the next couple hours. As David said, during the 3 o'clock hour for northern sections of Lake and also northern sections of McHenry County here in northeastern Illinois, and then during the 4 o'clock hour for Chicago, and during the heart of rush hour, we could have another round of tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, some of which could be on the order of destructive with 80+ mile per hour wind gusts, and really concern between now and sunset of additional flash flooding concerns. And the reason why we have these multiple rounds of thunderstorms is high pressure that's over the plain states, or disturbances that are up and over this high. We talk about the ring of fire just outside the periphery of the high. You get these disturbances that rotate around it. That's what we're looking at right now. So unlike a situation where, okay, we got a cold front, then stable and cool air comes in, that's not really the case. We have these little disturbances in the atmosphere, and with so much heat and so much humidity and so much instability, you get situations just like this. So let's pause this out for you. And one other check, because we want to make sure you know what's happening here, is the next round, again, due to arrive in places like McHenry and also Lake County about 3:15 to 3:30, so we'll watch that for you. And then this same round moves into places like Chicago as we get closer to 4:30, and then beyond, moving to the Kankakee River Valley, probably closer to 5:30, and then down towards the south just after that. So let's say anywhere from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, we're on guard for additional showers and thunderstorms. Our plan here on CBS News Chicago is to go back to programming at 2 p.m. That's when this tornado warning that's in effect for Porter County will expire. And as David was showing you on the latest scans, there's nothing imminent developing right now in terms of tornadoes. It's certainly heavy rainfall and some gusty winds, but our promise to you is that as long as there's a tornado warning posted anywhere in our 15 county viewing area, we'll be on air and online for you, and that's what we're doing right now. But the good news is, even though that is a flashing box with a tornado warning in the in the posted coming in out of the weather office, there's nothing here on the Doppler radar indicating that one is developing. The other thing David was just talking about, and Kylie was mentioning this as well, is how the rain is picking up once again from Chicago westward. So the atmosphere is recovering in real time, and that's why between now and 3 o'clock, our main concern in Chicago is going to be from flash flooding. You could get some hail, you could get some gusty winds, but I think flash flooding is our main concern with these thunderstorms that are beginning to back build to the west and northwest, and then between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., that's round 2 potential all modes of severe weather. Tornadic risk, damaging wind risk, and more flash flooding in the forecast. David, what do you got?
Even higher precipitable water coming in over the next couple of hours to Chicago, 2.4 inches. Incredible moisture in the atmosphere.
So what David's talking about is we have this pipeline of moisture that's coming in from not just the Gulf of Mexico, but it's this time of the year where we are at peak corn season. We call it corn sweat. That is something that does impact our atmosphere. That's why we're talking about dew point temperatures that are in the 80s, which is unreal. That's like rainforest type of dew points out here towards the west and southwest. So that all coincides with these disturbances coming in, and that's why it's going to be a rough, rusty afternoon and evening for us. So let's just do one more radar tour here, and then we'll get you back to programming. That's our plan, at least at 2 o'clock once that warning expires. These thunderstorms are downpours, and we'll turn on our lightning because lightning is a good indication of if they're getting stronger. And the strongest storms from Chicago into the western suburbs are actually offshore right now. So these are all just flooding rain type of downpours, big tropical downpours that are coming in. Energy's increasing once again, and moisture is reloading. And as David said, moisture content in our atmosphere could even be higher than what we had this morning into the midday hours. Additional downpours from Joliet to just the south of Yorkville and to the north of Morris, and those will continue to increase in coverage and also intensity. Heavy downpours right now, Lake County, but these are non-severe, but flash flood warnings have been extended to include Lake County, down towards Will County, all of the city of Chicago, and all of Cook County. And here is the worst of the thunderstorms. You see the prolific lightning right now that's mainly impacting northern sections of Jasper County, and that's where we still have winds. We'll get rid of some of these lightning strikes to clean this up. From Wheatfield to just out here towards the west and north Judson, outside of our viewing area, of 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. But the good news with this thunderstorm, it's about outside of our viewing area. So this is the worst of the thunderstorm we're tracking right now. This is just about 10 minutes away from being outside of our viewing area, and we get a break. The unfortunate part is that break allows for the atmosphere to reload in moisture and also energy ahead of our next disturbance. It will bring us another round of severe weather. So before we go back to programming at the top of the hour, I want to load one more model just to kind of tell you the story. And our plan is to be with you throughout the afternoon. On the stream, on TV, continuous coverage starts at 4 p.m. with that next round coming in, if not earlier. And this model, the HRRR model, which updates every hour, has done a brilliant job of the last 24 hours, highlighting there another round of thunderstorms moving on in. So again, between 3 and 6 o'clock, there's a timeline, more thunderstorms that could produce straight line damaging winds, quick spin of tornadoes and flooding rains. And on the last part of this model data, you see it stop here around 7 p.m., 7:30, 7:45. It still has rumbles of thunder and downpours. Keep it here on CBS News Chicago. The tornado warning in Porter County just seconds away from expiring. If additional warnings are issued, we will jump right back on the air. The warning has expired as of the top of the hour. Keep it here on the stream as well on CBS News Chicago. No, we'll take a break.
I'm meteorologist David Yeomans. A stormy day here in the First Alert Weather Center with heat alerts and severe thunderstorm concerns. Through 3 p.m., increasing storms across the area, some of them severe. From 3 to 8 o'clock, this could be the
This is CBS News Chicago.
Investigators say the blood alcohol level of a man accused of killing a woman on the Fox River over the weekend was nearly 3 times the legal limit. He faces a judge today. We'll get you up to speed on that. We're learning more about the 4 young people killed in a car crash this weekend after a chase involving Illinois State Police. And it is a 3H of a Monday. Heat, humidity, and haze, all in abundance. We're in the soup for one more day, and the pop-up storms are already starting to break out. Thanks for being with us. I'm Chris Ty in for Marie. We begin with that extremely high humidity. It is very hard to escape. It'll feel like 110 degrees as we creep along into the afternoon.
I'm meteorologist David Yeomans. A stormy day here in the First Alert Weather Center with heat alerts and severe thunderstorm concerns. Through 3 p.m., increasing storms across the area, some of them severe. From 3 to 8 o'clock, this could be the main event with damaging storms most likely. Late this evening, storms move out, but in the meantime, we could see destructive winds, large hail, and multiple reports of flooding. Weather alerts, needless to say, in store for us today with a 50% coverage of storms. High swim risk back tomorrow as cooler north winds blow down the lake. A calmer, more pleasant week ahead until some scattered storms return starting on Friday.
We have new information this midday into the newsroom. A Lyle man accused of causing a deadly boat crash on the Fox River this weekend is expected in court this afternoon. Newly filed court documents allege Richard Stevenson's blood alcohol level was nearly 3 times the legal limit while he operated a pontoon at full throttle in a no-wake zone. Our Darius Johnson is in the newsroom for us this midday with the new details. Hi, Darius.
New court documents are now revealing what prosecutors say happened in the moments before Saturday's deadly boat crash on the Fox River. This afternoon, Richard Stevenson is expected to make his first court appearance as he now faces felony charges in this case. Take a look. Investigators say the triple-engine pontoon Stevenson was operating collided with another boat on the Fox River Saturday afternoon. Court documents say Stevenson's blood alcohol concentration was nearly 3 times Illinois' legal limit for operating a watercraft. Prosecutors also allege he was operating the pontoon at full throttle in a posted no-wake zone when he lost control, colliding with another boat before striking timber along the west bank of the Fox River. 1 woman was killed, another person on that woman's boat was seriously injured, and a passenger on Stevenson's boat suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Video obtained by CBS News Chicago appears to show that pontoon traveling at a high rate of speed just moments before the crash. Stevenson was taken into custody early yesterday morning. These new details come from court documents that were filed ahead of Stevenson's court appearance that is set to take place later on this afternoon. The woman who was killed has yet to be identified, and we are also waiting for an update on the condition of the second person who was on that woman's boat. In the newsroom this morning, I'm Darius Johnson, CBS News Chicago.
A weekend police chase on the city's southwest side tragically ends with the deaths of 4 teens. It started early yesterday morning. Police say they got a call of a person pointing a gun at them from a car. When officers attempted a traffic stop, the driver took off, getting away from Illinois State Police. Chicago police caught up with them later. That's when the car crashed into a parked freight train. A 14 and 17-year-old girl died, along with an 18 and 19-year-old man. Charges could come for a driver involved in a deadly crash. Chicago police tell us a man was struck and killed by an SUV speeding here at 51st and Western. This is in Gage Park. Happened just before 11 last night. The driver was not hurt, but crashed into a light pole. Police say then another vehicle hit that fallen light pole, and that driver is okay. Right now, Chicago police are searching for the person who shot 6 people in Humboldt Park over the weekend. Here is some of what we heard over police radio after the shots were fired.
A potential mass shooting. Got another call of a person shot. Caller said a male neighbor is shot on the porch, and a male and female are shot after a drive-by shooting.
You can see the large police presence. This is Central Park between Augusta and Iowa just after 2 yesterday morning. 2 men hospitalized in critical condition, 4 others injured and expected to recover. There's no word on suspects or a motive. Well, McDonald's is just not immune from a robbery. That much is certain. This morning, someone jumped out of a car and into the drive-through window. It happened at the fast food restaurant near Cicero and Belden in Belmont-Cragen. Chicago police went on to tell us the thieves made off with a register, which was later found a few blocks away. Then check out this Shell station at North Ashland and Diversey. A black Jeep was used in a smash and grab. The thieves plowed through the front of the building around 5 a.m. You can see the crypto ATM is still there, but they did get away with the cash. ATM. It's believed to have been stocked with more than $7,500.